Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Project Infinite podcast, the podcast covering the infinite and ever-expanding multiverse of fandom, from movies, comics, TV shows, video games. We got you covered. I'm here. I'm Rob. As always, with me, as always, is Court, and I got through that whole intro, nailed it, and then I messed up the introductions.
Yeah. We didn't just record a whole nother intro that will never be heard of, but...
It might be heard of someday.
Yeah.
When I splice together all the cutted footage.
I see what you did there. Spice together everything.
Mm.
Because Paul Atreides is the villain.
What?
He's what? You didn't think we were going to talk about Dune this week?
Actually, no, I didn't.
Well, I got it in.
So, I know last week I was like, yeah, maybe we'll review Jurassic World Dominion, but then neither of us saw it.
Yeah.
So
the jump scare of the reviews came in and we said, you know what, maybe we'll wait a little bit.
But we owe it to see that movie because we saw Morbius.
But Morbius was a great movie. You have Venom, I have Morbius. Let's move on.
All right, fair enough. Release it the third time, that's all I say.
Actually, scrap this whole Spider-Man new movie release and just release Morbius. They just say it's that, but then Morbius comes on.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. It's a double feature of the century.
But, yeah. So, instead of doing Jurassic World, since Obi-Wan is out, first 4 episodes are out, we decided we'd take a little trip down memory lane and look at the film that directly precedes the Obi-Wan series. So we're going to do one of our world-famous, state-famous, town-famous film retrospectives.
House-famous.
On Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Can't wait.
I can't wait. We've been saying this since within the first 5 episodes of this little experiment that turned into what we now call Project Infinite, about how just hilarious this episode would be if we ever got around to it.
And we finally found a way to get it in.
And then they said, here's an Obi-Wan show, and we collectively at the same time, we did the fist pump from the end of Breakfast Club, and we said, finally.
Our time is here.
Our time is here.
But first, the news. And we do have some news, starting with the aforementioned Spider-Man No Way Home More Fun Stuff version. I didn't make that up. That's the actual title. It's coming out September 2nd and is an extended cut of Spider-Man No Way Home. It is not kind of what they did for Avengers Endgame.
I don't believe it until I see it.
This is apparently an actual extended edition of Spider-Man No Way Home. Presumably, I guess, including more scenes with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
Sure.
Because that's the fun stuff.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Garfield is fun.
I'm for it, you know?
I'm going to see it. As much as I might be for this or against it, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, we're going to be there, and maybe we'll review it?
No. I've talked ad nauseum about this movie, and I'm not ready to say my nuclear hot take about that movie. Not yet. Not yet. It will come.
Yeah. Maybe we'll save it for then.
Yeah. Because I'm going to have to talk about it. I'm going to have to address it.
I'm looking forward to it.
The hype beast, which was Spider-Man No Way Home.
It's
a good movie.
Yes.
It's a good movie.
Oh man, that's ominous.
Just like Chancellor Palpatine.
You know, match for him. He's a Sith Lord.
Sith Lords are our speciality.
We're going to intersperse Revenge of the Sith stuff throughout this news segment, probably.
Yeah,
but other Spider-Man news, we got a official look at the villain for the Into the Spider-Verse sequel, Across the Spider-Verse. It's the Spot.
Yeah, the world famous The Spot. You know, all right, let's get this out of the way. If I find anybody on any social media go, finally, they're doing The Spot, I'm like, stop. You don't know who that is. Just stop it. There's like 7 people out there that know who The Spot is, and 6 of them are the creators of that comic. I don't want to hear it. But
so, what's the deal with The Spot?
So I guess he just has interdimensional holes on his body, and then because I know there's like a comic cover where like Spider-Man punches him and he gets punched directly back in the face.
I love
and then
that bit.
When you look at if you look at the picture on the Twitter page or just the official promo image, like I think Miles is kicking into The Spot and it kicks Gwen in the face like across. I was like, all right, that's cool, that's fun.
Yeah, it looks like, I think they just went like, what's a character that'll like look good in this type of movie? And that's a character that could look good in this type of movie.
Yeah, when I first looked at it, I thought it was Mr. Negative for a second, but I understand why they didn't do Mr. Negative, and I think it was more because of how popular Spider-Man PS4 was.
Yeah.
So I think they probably were like, well, we already fleshed out his full story. We don't need to really do that again. So I'm excited. Jason Schwartzman is set to voice the Spot, the world famous The Spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be, what can you be other than excited for a sequel to Into the Spider-Verse, which is, a lot of people regard as maybe the best Spider-Man movie ever made.
One of the best animated movies, period.
Yeah, so a sequel to that, they're definitely taking their time with it. It was split into 2 parts, but now it's been retitled 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes out next year, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
In October.
Yeah, so next October that'll be out, and like we said, it's super exciting. I think it's cool that we can just do this. We talked about, particularly with Guardians of the Galaxy, like we're at this point with the superhero genre where you can be like, yeah, the Spot is the main villain of a Spider-Man movie.
And people are going to fall in love with the Spot and be like just emotionally invested in that character. It's going to happen. That's the way it always happens.
Yeah. Speaking of Marvel, the Thunderbolts movie is coming. Something that I guess we've kind of, not just we, but, a lot of people have speculated for quite some time that they were going to do. Unfortunately, William Hurt passed away, so he won't be able to reprise his role as Thunderbolt Ross.
Possibly turn into Red Hulk, but we don't care about that. The man passed away. I don't think that's the first thing that, unfortunately, that's usually what people go for when a character passes away. Yeah. Or when an actor passes away, but,
so I think when we talked about this, we talked about it as potentially a Disney Plus series.
Right.
But this is going to be apparently a film.
Now that I think about it, I think this is a better decision, too, because you are dealing with a whole bunch of characters. And the way I kind of explain this to you, this kind of feels like this new age Avengers. Like, I feel like they could be credible, like a credible team. I don't necessarily agree with the Suicide Squad comparisons, but I see what they're going for. Like, no, I don't think they're going to have bombs in their head, but I do think, before, I know I'm going to contradict myself, before William Hurt passed away, like, I think what it would have looked like is a combination of Val and William Hurt's General Ross being like, hey, you guys are going to not be in jail, or you guys are not going to be watched, we just need you to do these things that are just not, that the Avengers can't do. We need a hit squad, basically.
Which, it seems, we kind of speculated, are they doing Thunderbolts? Are we doing Dark Avengers? Yeah. What's going on here? So I'd assume the Thunderbolts team is going to be this cast of kind of morally gray characters that we've collected over the past year or so.
It's a pretty good sell. And I think we even talked about this with Doctor Strange too, especially pertaining to Wanda's character, because the entire MCU is great. You look at Mark Spector's not like a 100% good person. The Punisher's around there running around going crazy more often than not. Like, Jessica Jones is like, she's a drunk as well and doesn't want to help people. I'm just rattling off people, but Wanda's borderline a tragic villain right now. Like, Doctor Strange he's a very much a greater good type of hero right now. I know he kind of redeemed himself a little bit from that, but he feels like he's going to go right back to that by the beginning of Doctor Strange 3 or the next project we pick up. What I'm getting at is the MCU is extremely gray right now. Yeah. It's extremely, like, there's not a lot of clear cut and dry good guys. What do you have? You have Captain America, you have Captain Marvel, you have Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, but beyond that...
Hawkeye,
Right, Hawkeye went through a very dark period in his life, which he had to reflect on in his own series, so it's really... And then the other side to the coin is there's a huge vacancy, because, that was the one thing about Spider-Man Far From Home is where's the Avengers? Like, and I talked about that after... I think we talked about Falcon and the Winter Soldier for a little bit on here. That's going to be something that I think needs to be addressed sooner rather than later. It's like, where's the Avengers? Like, that's a big deal that there's no
like Sam's Captain America, but like, of what?
Yeah, like, cool.
Because apparently Bucky is supposedly going to be in the Thunderbolts movie.
I thought that was a pretty interesting... I thought that was a really cool idea. And I think it's just going to, kind of elevate his arc a little bit, because he did have a really nice arc in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I think it's just going to give it the extra last push, because I think this more or less might be like his time to shine as like a leader of a team, because he's kind of been the hit guy that comes out and helps. And then like Falcon and the Winter Soldier was the first example of like, you can be your own hero on top of this. You don't need people to like send you out on missions, whether it be Hydra or the Avengers. You're better beyond that. So
yeah, that's where like kind of like the Suicide Squad comics came for me. Like having Bucky as kind of like the Rick Flag kind of
he's like
crew.
He's the Avenger, but he's also got the dark past. So.
Yeah, so he's gonna lead. Who's this team? So John Walker is on the team. Yelena Beleva's apparently on the team. Zemo.
Yeah, interesting. It's not too interesting, but we just talked about his ideals on here right before we hopped on, and I do like Zemo's whole idea. Like, I think he's gonna be the one to bring everybody back to Earth, especially John Walker, because it's like, I loved his whole mantra where he's just like, you're like, wanting to be a super soldier automatically gives you supremacist ideas. Like, Steve Rogers was a good man outside of the super soldier serum. You want that to make yourself powerful, automatically makes you a type of supremacist.
Yeah, and even he said, Steve Rogers was like a 1 in a million shot.
Right.
And he's like saying like, how many other Steve Rogers have we had since? None. Zero.
None.
So yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea. Like we said, it's one that, we kind of assumed was being built in some form, much like, Young Avengers also.
The Young Avengers are definitely
being crafted.
Yeah, if we're getting Thunderbolts, I think Young Avengers are going to be next on the way. And then at some point we will get a full-fledged Avengers team. It's going to take a little bit. I think a lot of this is going to have to do with Wanda's arc. I think that's going to have to be dealt with at some point. The fact that she just went off the rails and it's like an Avenger just turned against everybody. Like, that's going to have to get addressed. And then, like I said, like the fact that there's no definitive Avengers team needs to be addressed. Like, who's even the leader of the Avengers at this point? They don't have a leader, so maybe they need a government team to step in and be like, you know what, we're going to be the Avengers. So I see a little bit of an amalgamation between the Dark Avengers and the Thunderbolts too. And then who else we got? We have Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp. I actually quite enjoyed her character more than some people did. I thought she was a pretty tragic backstory, pretty fun power set. I think she's going to come back, and it's just all these people.
Taskmaster.
So that's the big one. That's a really, really interesting choice to add. Specifically because of the Tony Masters, or lack thereof Tony Masters. That's why it was pretty interesting for me. But I mean, what this might provide to who is it? It's Dracov's daughter. What it's going to provide to her is maybe even a little bit of character depth. From 0 or 1% to like maybe in the night, like it's gonna give her something to do and maybe some personality. I think she can really use that. And then we got one more, right?
I don't know. I think we had everybody, right?
Yeah, John Walker, Zemo, Yelena, Bucky, Ghost, Taskmaster.
I think that was it, right?
Yeah. Because and Abomination, that's the last one. Yeah. So I think Emil Blunt's going to get, his kind of jumping off point was going to be, it was like combination of Shang-Chi and then She-Hulk. He's going to actually like be in for a little bit longer. And then I think Val's going to come out and be like, hey, I got this super secret team that's going to be cool.
Yeah, Elaine's going to show up and be like, come here.
Yeah.
You're on the team.
You're on the team. You've been chosen. It's not a birthmark, Cole. You've been chosen.
You've been chosen. Mortal Kombat. So good.
Yeah. Kano wins.
So The Last of Us has wrapped filming the TV show for HBO Max, as announced by Neil Druckmann at the Summer Games Fest, which was fine. It wasn't super eventful, but we did get some Last of Us news and stuff coming out of that. So we got the first full frontal face look at Pedro Pascal.
Full frontal's a crazy way to go about saying that. Go off.
Of Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey as Joel and Ellie. Looks fine. Looks good. Looks dark.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal's also on top of the world too. So
yeah. Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson, who are the voices for Joel and Ellie, are in the show in undisclosed roles, according to them. Sounds like they were kind of filming quite a bit, so I don't know what their roles could be. I'm thinking more along the lines of like Nolan North in Uncharted.
He's just gonna show up and be like, "Hey,
yeah,
you look familiar."
Neil Druckmann is directing an episode of the show, so obviously the lead director at Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, who helped create and bring The Last of Us to the world, is directing an episode of the show. And then the last bit is the first game is being renamed Last of Us Part 1 and being re-released for PlayStation 5. Total rebuild from the ground up, remake, new models, new kind of, not new dialogue, but new engine, presumably using the engine from The Last of Us 2. And that comes out later this year in September.
And I will be playing that.
Same.
Right after I play Final Fantasy.
Because the first Last of Us is one of the most generational games of all time. I mean, the staying power is undisputed.
That opening hits you so...
It's crazy. It's a crazy opening sequence. And presumably that's going to be the launch point for the TV show also is that opening scene.
Yeah, I really want to see that in live action. I think that'll play really well, especially on HBO Max as well. I think that's the perfect home for something like that.
Agreed. And then you mentioned to me that, which I missed this, there's a Neil Blomkamp Gran Turismo film being developed.
Sure is. And there's only one person we can get to be the main character of this movie, and that's Aaron Paul.
Yeah, so I did talk about a little last week how Sony's going full steam with their cinematic exploits, and I was remiss to not mention Gran Turismo getting a film.
What's your number one project you're looking forward to? What's the one?
Out of all of the PlayStation stuff?
Yeah.
I think the one that I'm most excited for is The Last of Us, and the one I'm most intrigued by is God of War.
Okay.
Because I think this Last of Us show is gonna be really good.
Yeah, me too. I think it's gonna be like if the first episode really captures the first. How long was the opening sequence of the game?
20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes maybe.
Yeah. If they capture that well and get you really intrigued and then throw you forward into the world like the game does, I think that can have... I hate to use the phrase like Game of Thrones level or Euphoria level, but I think it can probably get you like maybe even like watch.
I think it has
the potential.
Well, I think it has more so than these other properties they're working on that feel a little niche. God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Ghost of Tsushima feel a little niche, but I feel like this being on HBO, having Pedro Pascal attached to it,
that's a big,
I think it can reach kind of a mainstream intrigue.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to get somewhere around where Watchmen was, because I know a lot of people were watching Watchmen when it was coming out, and then Watchmen followed up by, why can't I think of the show? It's one of my favorite shows from 2019. With Jonathan Majors, Lovecraft Country. Yeah, like those two shows back to back really hit mainstream and kind of stayed there for a while. So I think this show could be able to kind of stay there. Ghost of Tsushima is definitely the one I am really interested in and invested in. That one, if they're able to do that right, and they kind of...
That's a film, right?
Yeah, that's going to be a movie.
Yeah. So Last of Us, God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn are all going to be series, and then Ghost of Tsushima and Gran Turismo, and then I guess you compare the Uncharted sequel.
Right. Yep.
When that comes out will be our films, and then... whatever else they have past that, I don't know.
Right. I know it's not Sony property, but do you think we can pull off a Final Fantasy movie?
So we tried it with Final Fantasy The Spirits Within. This is years ago when they first were dabbling with full CG technology. That was like a hybrid of CG and live action, and it really didn't work. Final Fantasy VII itself has a feature-length film that's all CG animated. As for live action, it's tough. I actually think if you were going to try that, you'd have to try to adapt one of the older kind of sword and sorcery kind of Final Fantasies, because they can have that Lord of the Rings kind of Game of Thrones kind of feel.
Yeah, that was my comp for that. I think you're selling Final Fantasy short a little bit. I think it possibly could work in live action. You just would need to approach it kind of in the way that it's going to sound weird. Like, it's kind of like a Lord of the Rings mixed with like Ready Player One. I don't know why that popped into my head, but like,
well, yeah, because 7, if you're talking about 7 in particular,
that's what I'm talking about.
Which I would assume if they were ever to try that, 7 would be the one that they would try.
I think so.
It's the most popular one. And it has a very steampunky kind of feel to it compared to, like I said, the others that are more like sword and sorcery. So I think that's actually, a good comp kind of, because you have like these fantastic elements of like magic and wizards and all that stuff mixed with kind of a modern-ish futuristic setting. But I think what you'd have to probably do is probably style the characters down a bit.
Oh, sure. 100%,
so that they don't look kind of like, you draw the comp to like Dragon Ball Evolution.
I never thought we'd say those words.
So you're like, what is this? I think, honestly, a good gateway to that, because they're redoing Avatar: The Last Airbender for live action. So that could be an interesting kind of gateway to see what can we do with kind of cartoon anime styled characters in live action. Like, how close can we make this, but still make it work so that's not like entering that like uncanny valley kind of territory, which is where I think, Dragon Ball Evolution has a lot of pitfalls. One of them was they just didn't walk that line fine enough.
I'm convinced they didn't watch any of the show. I think they called somebody and they were just like, hey, what if you were to describe Dragon Ball in like 5 words, what would it be?
It's nutty.
I can't believe that was made. It's one of the worst movies of all time.
Yeah, it's bad. There's really no redeeming qualities of that movie at all. But yeah, I mean,
Geeko.
It's crazy that we're even having this conversation, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people do think highly of what this Last of Us show could be.
Yeah.
And, Uncharted did surprisingly well.
Oh, yeah. It was tough to miss. You have Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't
action-adventure movie.
Tom Holland off the back of Spider-Man No Way Home also.
You were going to see it, yeah.
Yeah, but I thought, I talked about it briefly on here. I thought it captured the spirit of the game very well, and presumably the sequel is going to roll right into Uncharted 1. So, it's interesting. It's kind of like, it feels like what we're going through with video game movies now is kind of the genesis of what superheroes movies were going through when Iron Man came out. Like, this is kind of just the genesis. If they can hit these early ones, you can get some more kind of fantastical stuff. I mean, we also have the Halo live action show.
Oh yeah,
that's going on Paramount Plus, which I have not seen, but I've heard mixed things.
Yeah, I heard mixed things,
but I've heard it looks good.
Right.
So they're doing this.
Yeah.
So I don't have much of a transition for this. So late last night, late-ish last night, there was news broken by the Hollywood Reporter.
I was half asleep.
So we were talking we talked about the Joker sequel last week, about how it got a title and the script is apparently done.
We thought that was it.
Yeah, we were like, great, good.
Cool. Give it a couple months. We'll get some more news, whatever.
Looking forward to the sequel coming out. So then the Hollywood Reporter's like, hold my clown nose. Because so they gave us some casting news up top. They were like, Lady Gaga is apparently going to be in this movie. Fine. She can act.
Yeah, she was good in Star is Born.
Star is Born. I didn't see House of Gucci.
You don't need to.
All right, cool. She can act fine. So people were automatically like, oh, so she's probably gonna be Harley Quinn based on the title of what Joker 2 is, which is like the Dual Madness or something like that. Too Mad something.
Right.
I don't know. Something like that.
It was a natural progression for Joker's character. Specifically Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, because he already's the two things that I thought before we get into this next piece of news. The two things I thought this movie were going to do were, A, I thought he was going to get a love interest at some point, being Harley Quinn, and B, I thought it was going to turn him from, just this outcast pariah that turned himself into kind of a martyr to more of the clown prince of crime. I thought this was what the second movie was going to tackle head on.
However,
which it still can.
It still can. But it still can. With a massive caveat that apparently this is, I'm just going to say this outright, apparently this is going to be a musical.
It's going to be a what?
A musical.
Yeah.
So Todd Phillips looked at the Flash Supergirl crossover and was like,
nope, I just don't think he watched it.
He was like, I can't let this stand. I can't have this be the best DC musical that we've ever put to screen. And lo and behold, apparently, the Hollywood Reporter is as reputable a source as you can get. So I don't know what their sourcing is on this.
Trust us. That
this is going to be a musical.
Yep. This is real.
I don't know. I never you could have given me 1,000 guesses of what the next Joker movie was going to be, and not a one time would I have said, "Oh, it's going to be a musical," because how did we even get to that conclusion that we're going to do a musical sequel to one of the most kind of gritty psychological kind of
character studies that we've gotten
for not just a superhero movie, for like anything.
No, it was, Joaquin Phoenix finally got his much coveted Oscar from that. So Yeah, just it's an interesting. I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not opposed to it either.
Because the immediate reaction from every person from like 98.9% of the internet was, "What are we doing?
They're ruining it.
They're ruining it. You're ruining it.
You're ruining how serious this movie is."
Yeah.
Musicals can be serious.
Yeah.
Look at Les Biz.
Yeah. Oh. Oh. You ever heard Hungry Anne Hathaway sing in despair?
That movie's super serious.
It is super serious. Gerard Butler was in despair for the whole movie.
That was Hugh Jackman. Watch your mouth.
Wasn't Gerard Butler in that movie?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Russell
Crowe was in it.
That's what I'm talking about, Russell Crowe. I notoriously, when I was younger, would always get Russell Crowe and Gerard Butler mixed up.
All right. It's weird, but all right. I don't think they really look alike.
They're two Brits with beards and brown hair.
I guess.
Two Brits with beards and brown hair.
Isn't Russell Crowe Australian?
Same thing.
Wow!
Just kidding. So, all of our international listeners from Australia and Great Britain, we love you and know the difference between the two of you guys.
So yeah, I don't know. Look, I can't say I'm not interested in the Joker musical sequel.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the... You know what's funny? If they were to do something like this in, like, let's say an Arkham game or, like, an animated adventure, people would eat it up and they would just think this
Joker does a musical bit in Arkham Knight.
Yeah, he does.
He sings that song.
Yeah.
Batman did a musical bit in that one Justice League Unlimited episode. Yeah. Where he sang in a nightclub.
Yeah. So, here's the thing. This movie Todd Phillips is just a Martin Scorsese stan, right? So this is kind of like
Go on.
Yeah, this is kind of based off New York, New York. If the last one was Taxi Driver, this is New York, New York.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. He brought it all together, ladies and gentlemen. That's why he's the guy.
I've seen a movie or two.
Same.
Yeah.
Morbius.
We've seen Morbius exactly one time.
Morbius should have been the musical. Hot take.
Nah, Morbius 2 as a musical? Bring back Matt Smith. Get him back.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm in.
Get Matt Smith back.
It doesn't take me much to get in, but I'm in.
Yeah. Once Matt Smith is involved.
Get Matt Smith in the Joker sequel.
Have him be Batman.
Oh. Imagine it. Just imagine it. All right.
Yeah.
I got to transition to this other thing that I really don't want to talk about, but I guess we have to at this point. So, oh man,
where do we even start?
I don't know. We skipped the last bit of Ezra Miller news because we didn't feel like
it wasn't. That's something to say. It wasn't. I guess it wasn't big enough to talk about.
I mean, it was big, but like it's just not usually what we do. Like
it was very weird.
It was very weird. It was, clearly they're having issues that, we talked about, the last time we talked about Ezra Miller getting in trouble, we said they need help.
And I hope they get it. And it's not even like a funny, it's seriously,
because something
feels
is wrong.
Because
I probably should have read up a little bit more on this before talking about it, but there's an issue with an 18-year-old girl that Ezra Miller has apparently either absconded with or has been quote unquote grooming, and now officials can locate neither individual. Yeah,
they don't
involved.
know they don't know where either of them are, and they're essentially on the run. It's
the last thing I saw. Yeah, it's a very bizarre situation. Yeah, potentially dangerous situation.
Right. Now take everything
emerging here.
Right. Take everything we say with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Absolutely do that. We will never know what the real story is. However, just based on a track record of what Ezra Miller's been through the last couple of months, year. Going all the way back to that incident in the club that kind of weirdly got swept under the rug, where they apparently attacked or strangled a woman, in a club. Right.
And then just fast forward to all the other stuff that they've been through this year with the weird video going after the KKK.
Right.
And then, a couple more assault-related incidents. And
incident with the cops.
Yeah, now what's going on right now? It's just a very potentially kind of dangerous situation.
Yeah.
So it feels a little strange talking about their kind of career exploits, but
because we were gonna maybe talk about the Flash movie and the repercussions, because obviously the other comp to this is the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial and how that's gonna affect Aquaman too. But I mean, these are real people going through real things, so
Yeah.
I think it's best we don't even dive into what the Flash movie's gonna look like. We'll inform you guys and let you guys know if anything changes.
The only thing I can really say about it is I question what Warner Brothers is thinking.
Yeah.
You know, promoting this and then kind of, I mean, Ezra Miller has been in the spotlight for them for a couple of years now. I mean, they were just in the latest Fantastic Beasts movie also. Right. And it's just weird that they're not kind of really doing or saying much about this. They're just kind of letting things, I mean, I guess in one respect, letting things play out is a smart thing. Right. But also at this point, you kind of have an obligation as a movie studio to kind of try to get a rein in on this person, you know what I mean? Or try to figure out what you want to do.
Because the movie's essentially done. And the way that it was kind of being marketed is this might be the last stitch effort for two Batman, possibly Michael Keaton's Batman, which is not true because he's going to show up in Batgirl and I guess be the official DC Batman. But I mean, the whole thing was that this movie was going to kind of reset the DC universe. That was the whole sell. I think we even talked about like what the storyboards were looking like and what the leak story was of the whole like fact that he was going to reset the timeline and Zod was going to, or Michael Shannon was going to come back as Zod and it was going to go back to Man of Steel 1 and reset the entire universe. Who knows?
Yeah. But it's just a sad situation.
It is really sad.
Ezra Miller, you know, for all their faults, personally, a very talented, you know, performer.
Oh yeah, I think he's.
You know,
I think they have a bunch of talent. I mean, going back to like my first exposure to Ezra Miller was Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah, a lot of people's were. You know, Ezra Miller is pretty magnificent in that movie. They've been good as Barry Allen, particularly in the Snyder Cut. I think a lot of people were, you know, impressed with that character and how Ezra Miller portrayed Barry Allen. So I think in a weird way, people were starting to get a little excited for this Flash movie. And then all this stuff is happening. Just
the Flash mythos. And I know we said we weren't going to deep dive, but here we are deep diving. But the Flash mythos is so rich. I mean, he's my favorite. Yeah. Barry Allen's my favorite DC character. It's like it's a tie between him and Mr. Miracle are like my two favorite. And there's a reason. The mythos is so rich. The Flash himself is ingrained into like the network of the DC universe. I'm talking from like the 60s for Barry Allen specifically all the way up until 84 when his disappearance, and then up into the Jeff Johns Flash Rebirth, one of the best comics in my opinion ever written, the triumphant return of Barry Allen. Like all those things felt like they were going to be an amalgam in this movie, like Flashpoint. Well, this movie essentially was Flashpoint, but the Flash has so many rich stories and such a rich history that you really kind of did want to see this movie succeed. And I just don't know if it can.
I don't know if it can. Who knows if
this movie will ever even come out.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we talked earlier about how it does have a lot kind of put into it already, but
right. Even beyond all the things with Ezra Miller, the movie itself was a nightmare because they've had one of the largest writing staffs that's ever been on the movie.
Well, I mean, we talked about it, and it's well documented that this movie was in production before the Flash TV series was a thing.
Right. Ezra Miller had been cast since 2014, something around there.
And now we're almost 9 seasons into the Flash TV series, and this movie
They met
in one of the coolest scenes in any type of thing ever.
Yeah.
When Ezra Miller popped up in Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Right.
And now this kind of just specter is hanging over this movie. And like we said, you know, at the end of the day, it just comes down to, we hope the situation with Ezra Miller is resolved.
Hope everybody's safe.
Yeah. In as safe and as good a way as something like this could end. And hopefully they're able to get pulled back in and get the help that they seemingly need, because someone somewhere is failing Ezra Miller. You know, as much as we may want to pin the blame on them, it's solely it's not that simple. No, it's a support system at the end of the day. When someone clearly is having some type of crisis, whether it be an emotional, mental, you know, physical crisis, you know, someone that prominent needs a support system and not a bunch of enablers. Yeah. And, you know,
I think that was really evident during the Amber Heard versus Johnny Depp trial, like the social mediaification, for lack of a better term,
got real weird.
Yeah, it did get real weird. Like these were, and obviously the whole celebrities are celebrities, but they're still people. They still were people that were born and were raised and like are good or bad or in some type of gray area in the middle.
And in
but
real sticky situations on either side, whichever quote unquote side you may have.
This isn't Captain America: Civil War. That be how people look at it. But,
exactly.
But what I'm getting at is like we're so quick to like judge and make jokes as if something serious isn't going on and people's livelihoods are about to change forever. And kind of the social media output is just going to be the stamp that's left and like ingrained in like, you know, the history of what this is going to look like in X amount of years.
Yeah. Whoever can get the jokes off the fastest, you know,
whoever can get the juiciest headline, that's all people care about.
Yeah. It's a shame. Yeah, there's no easy transition from that, but, we did get a Black Adam trailer, finally, talking about, you know, a film that's been years in the making, and it's finally here. It's finally a thing. We finally see The Rock in the suit in all his glory. We see the other members of the Justice Society suited up as well. And what did we think of this trailer?
I wasn't blown away. Wasn't overly, you know, I thought I was going to be a little bit more, you know, on the hype train, for lack of a better term. I thought
you got caught up in the Rock hype.
Yeah.
I mean, man, it's infectious. When he promotes a thing, you're like, hell yeah. I'm ready for this thing.
My intrigue is still where it is. I definitely have a bunch of questions in a good way. Like, I got a bunch of questions about that. I think that's really cool. The number one thing I'm most excited for about this movie is Pierce Brosnan.
That seems to be the consensus.
Dr. Fate is such a genius casting, because I was adamant. I thought he would have been the perfect Alfred for Robert Pattinson's Batman. I thought that would have been a real cool little touch onto that movie. But obviously, why am I blanking on Andy Serkis's name? He did a great job.
Yeah, he's great.
I think he did fit that Bruce after the movie came out retroactively. He did fit that Bruce really well. But Pierce Brosnan as like because people don't know about Dr. Fate. You want to talk about some real power, some real, like a real magic user that's just unhinged and just like does not really care about people that much and just getting the job done. Like, Dr. Fate is one of the best DC characters that's been written. He's insanely powerful. It's going to be I think what that also does is like it could stop Black Adam from going over the edge a little bit, just having Kent Nelson there as well to be like, hey man, maybe you shouldn't just kill all these people, like, and I could physically stop you. Maybe not. Maybe that's what we're going to see in this movie. But Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate is genius casting to me.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus, is that people seem to be most excited for that casting of Pierce Brosnan. And, you know, I think I agree. There's some decent-ish looking kind of action sequences in this trailer. I like the bit where he's flying next to the jets and he whacks the wing off the plane. You know, I think it feels like The Rock is kind of out to prove, like, in an overt way, that Black Adam is kind of not heroic. You know, because
I don't think he wants that. I think it wants to be, because I feel like we kind of are falling in love with a little bit of character. Like, I'm thinking The Punisher, prime example. Like, John Bernthal as The Punisher. I mean, I always say it. I think it's some of the best television is the first 4 episodes of Daredevil season 2. And a lot of credit goes to John Bernthal as well, kind of being the antithesis. That's going to be our number one word, antithesis, for the rest of the duration of this whole podcast because of Doctor Strange. But no, I think it's a comp because his ideals are at the core make sense, but the execution is where it gets a little bit of gray.
Yeah. And Black Adam, you know, as far as kind of origins go, he, you know, the movie is going to paint it in a way that, like, he has a right to be mad, and he does, you know, being a slave prior, being in prison for 5,000 years, and then reawakening as Black Adam. You know, he should be angry. I assume how this movie is going to be presented, and then, you know, we got a good look at Aldous Hodge as Hawkman.
You're not happy.
No, I think he looks really cool.
I love how you also looked at the Funko Pop up there.
The patron saint of
goat
of this recording room.
Hawkman from Legends of Tomorrow fame is your Hawkman.
Oh, that guy, man.
Remember when he found out that Vandal Savage had to be killed by them? He almost hung up the wings and said, nope, I'm good.
I'm good. Someone else can do this.
Yeah.
But I thought this Hawkman design looked really cool.
Me too. I like the hint of red in there as well. Wonder if we're going to get a little bit of tease to where Hawkgirl is during all of this as well. But because Hawkgirl usually gets a little bit more play than Hawkman does. That's just the way it's kind of went.
Well, yeah, especially, you know, talking about Justice League Unlimited earlier.
And then the Flash leading into Legends of Tomorrow. Shit, the storyline kind of weaves through her a little bit more.
Yeah, he's kind of just there.
He's kind of like the soldier-esque, like, this is what we need to do this, and she's the one with the personality a little bit more.
And then he dies in the second
episode.
Hilarious.
Not after giving Oliver Queen the business.
All right.
Much to your dismay.
We're moving on. We got a little bit of a look at Atom Smasher.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool.
Neat. I just like that they're doing, these weird characters.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it when we first heard about what the plot for this movie is. Like, it was like a big surprise. They were like, I was like, they're doing the Justice Society as like, I thought this was just going to be more of like a tried and true, straight up Black Adam story. And I just think it's so genius to do like this kind of like, this darker version of the Justice League, essentially. Like this team that's just like, I mean, actually, now that I think about it, it's a little bit before, because just based on this trailer, they might not be too keen to what Black Adam's doing, but however...
I'm sure they won't be.
Yeah, but who's going to stop him? That's the real question. Like,
well, I think that's kind of the pull of the movie,
mm-hmm.
right? Is they... In the trailer, they kind of go out of their way to show how powerful Black Adam
mm-hmm.
is. I mean, there's the bit where he, like, almost dematerializes instantly
mm-hmm.
instead of... It's not really, like, super speed, per se. It's,
mm-hmm.
like, almost like teleportation.
Yeah.
And he catches a rocket.
That's kind of how they did it in Man of Steel. I did... Listen, I'm not going to go into it, because you're going to get mad, but Man of Steel was the blueprint.
So, yeah, I think what you said is spot on. I think it's intriguing. I wasn't necessarily like blown away by the trailer,
mm-hmm.
like say I was with Thor: Love and Thunder when that first trailer
mm-hmm.
emerged, but I'm intrigued, and this is a role that The Rock has circled for quite some time,
mm-hmm.
and he stuck with it and really wanted to make this movie happen. So when you have that kind of passion with that dude's talent,
mm-hmm.
the outcome is generally pretty good.
Right.
Say what you will about The Rock's movies, but when he really...
You don't like Walking Tall?
I do like Walking Tall.
Me too. His taillights out. I hope he goes up. I hope, and I'm going to get into this in a second, but I hope Henry Cavill shows up and he just walks up to him and he rips his cape off. He's like, your cape's out. And then the movie ends.
Ultimately, I just want to see The Rock beat up Zachary Levi. Is basically
it's leading to that.
It's basically all I want to get out of this.
I have no doubt in my mind that either Zachary Levi is going to be in this movie, or Black Adam's going to be in Shazam 2, or what's probably going to happen, I mean, 99.9%, Shazam 3 is going to be Black Adam versus Shazam.
Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of the Shazam family.
So yeah, I think it's cool that they're, again, we go back to this with DC, like, just stick to your self-contained stuff.
It's working.
And branch out a bit if you have to, but don't connect literally everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you want to connect Black Adam to Shazam and do a little crossover thing,
that makes sense.
That's fine.
Yeah, just how Peacemaker was a spinoff from the Suicide Squad. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Shazam is Shazam was, it was like a hologram, but he was in Shazam.
Right. So
he's gonna kick the crap out of Zachary Levi.
I can't wait. That's the best bit. It hasn't even happened yet, and it's already the best bit.
Yeah. Anybody you think's gonna show up in this movie?
No, I mean, who else could show up?
I mean, the big one, because The Rock talked about it.
I don't think Superman's showing up.
He was in Shazam. It wasn't Henry Cavill, but he was in Shazam.
Where does he fit?
Again, and this is going to be just a common theme that's going to keep... What did Henry Cavill do to anybody? I don't understand. What did he do?
I don't know.
He like...
Too much Warhammer. Playing too much Warhammer during the pandemic.
They like called him... They're like, can you stop being a flippin' nerd and be Superman? He's like, no, I'm building a computer. And they were like, no, you're
out.
You're done. You're done. Tyler, get in here. Get in here, Tyler Hoechlin. You're the real Superman.
Hey, he's a dang good Superman.
He's doing great. Speaking of great, and this is going to throw you off, Miss Marvel episode 1 was great.
Yeah, it was great.
I really enjoyed that episode.
I loved it.
Stop being mad at everything, everyone.
Yeah, that's going to be... When 2 weeks pass and we do get to do our little season in review for Obi-Wan, that's going to be a big theme of it.
Yeah, the theme's going to be take a deep breath, everything's going to be fine.
It's okay if your thing is kind of corny at times.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be.
Yeah. You don't remember the bit in A New Hope where they literally found a metal pole to hold up like an unstoppable garbage compactor?
You remember the bit where the stormtrooper smacked his head off the door?
Yeah. It'll be okay. You don't remember the space bears that were the miniature space bears that were literally a huge piece of the plot in Return of the Jedi?
You remember Do you know, remember that bit in Return of the Jedi when Han Solo did like the Scooby-Doo, like, look over there, and then he ran the other way?
Yeah. It's gonna be okay.
Star Wars is dumb.
Yeah.
Is what I'm trying to say.
It's fine.
And boy, is it.
Yeah. What a transition.
Did you want to talk about Miss Marvel more, or no?
I was, but I feel it's time.
Speaking of Star Wars being dumb, so...
There's this special little movie that came out in 2005.
2005, 17 whole Earth years ago. Man, that feels like forever ago.
Yeah.
The crowning achievement of the prequel trilogy, the much maligned prequel trilogy, 2005, Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. This is Darth Vader is in this one. He becomes Darth Vader in this one. It's what the prequel trilogy was built around. Essentially was the birth and the rise and the fall of Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, I mean, it's in movie terms, it's one of the like best examples of like a tragedy of a character. Like this is one of the biggest tragedy stories that's ever been told. Like the fall, it's like, and I mean, obviously the first two movies were for kids. I don't care whatever way you want to look at it, especially Phantom Menace. It's specifically supposed to be for kids. And I always go back to that line that Dane Filoni had when he was talking to that fan, and they were like, you're ruining the Star Wars characters that I fell in love with when I was a kid. And he's like, what did you just say? When you were a kid? Yeah, because this is for kids.
And, okay, so this is why I think the prequels have gained momentum over the past, 5 or so years. And Hayden Christensen has come out recently and talked about it, and Ewan McGregor has as well, that people my age now were kids when the prequel trilogy was released. Like, what did I say, 2005? So I was 14 when...
I wasn't 14.
I was 14 when Revenge of the Sith came out, so I was still kind of young adult, adolescent. But then, rewind back to Attack of the Clones to the Phantom Menace, I'm even younger. I'm, 9 or 10.
I was not 9 or 10.
when Phantom Menace comes out. So these are the Star Wars movies I grew up with. I obviously seen, the original trilogy, but to be honest, when I was a kid, didn't really latch onto the original trilogy that much. I remember pretty vividly when the Phantom Menace trailer came out, and I just thought they showed Darth Maul in the trailer, and I thought he was the coolest looking freaking character that ever walked.
Because he was freaking awesome. It's such a simple thing. It's just the double-edged lightsaber. Yeah. That's it.
It's the framing. It's him in the black robe with the face paint, and he unhoods himself.
You want that lightsaber.
I had it.
You're a child. Of course you want that lightsaber.
I had that lightsaber when I was a kid. The plastic one. I was Darth Maul for Halloween. And
please tell me you have a picture of that.
I do. So I think it's on my Instagram, actually.
I will.
Of my picture of it.
I will find that.
Of me in the Darth Maul costume when I was a kid. So yeah, and then, I aged people my age kind of aged perfectly with the prequel trilogy. By the time we got to Revenge of the Sith, you talk about it being a more mature film because the kids that were into the prequel trilogy are now kind of 14, 15, 16. So, ergo you get a more mature film in Revenge of the Sith.
You know what it did? And I mean, this did it before it took the Harry Potter approach, and it's super impressive. You grow when your audience is growing. It's such a small thing that make your film so much better. And like I said, Harry Potter is by far the best example of that. Of the first couple films were PG, and then you started going into PG-13 realm, and then you get into the heavy PG-13 when you get to the last couple films. Star Wars took that same approach. Like I said, Phantom Menace, it's a kid's movie. Through and through, that is a children's movie.
Yeah, this movie came out the same year as Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is kind of an interesting comp because Goblet of Fire is kind of, I guess Prisoner of Azkaban was kind of the start of that transition to more mature for Harry Potter, but Goblet of Fire is really the one that kind of gets...
It's just a bunch of on-screen child death.
Yeah, you have the death of Cedric Diggory at the end. Yeah. Shout out Robert Pattinson, by the way. So you have that, these
That's my son!
That's right. These movies come out the same year, and it's that parallel of these things that came out when kids were kids and now aging up. And lo and behold, we get Revenge of the Sith. For my money, obviously, I don't think there's any debate that it's the best prequel film.
Yeah, I think it's in the top.
But I think it's up there in terms of all of the Star Wars films.
Me too. And this is where you got to look at the full out story, and that's what kind of puts it there. I mean, it's the crutch that it's what I was explaining it to my friend who's watching all the Star Wars movies now. It's the comp for that is the snap for what the MCU is using right now. Like, it's the thing that happened that ignited whatever it was in the future and whatever led up to that moment. Like, to Thanos finding the Infinity Stones, to him snapping his fingers, and all the repercussions that came out of that.
The only difference being we knew where this was going before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think of some alternate dimension somehow, some way, where this movie somehow comes out before A New Hope.
Right, like they do it the way it's supposed to go. Yeah.
And what that looks like.
What do you think it looks like?
I mean, it diminishes Empire a bit.
Sure, I think it diminishes Empire, but what it would do a little bit, it might help Attack of the Clones, funny enough, a little bit, if you think about it, because if we're talking about, like, the growth of a character, like I think audience might start to latch on to be like, yo, Anakin's kind of getting a little antsy from the kid we fell in love with to this adult now. Like, he's getting a little, I think the only thing that might not work is, like, the whole, like, teen angst thing I don't think works as well.
Right. I think diminishes Empire. I think it kind of accentuates Return of the Jedi quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
Admittedly, I'm not a huge fan of Return of the Jedi, but I think had these come out, like I said, in some weird alternate dimension where these movies
definitely is an alternate dimension where, yeah,
because there's things that you have to litigate with the special effects, and bear with us as we walk down this hypothetical lane where these movies come out in sequential order. I think it helps Return of the Jedi a lot because you see Luke Skywalker as Anakin Skywalker's son coming into his own as a Jedi, redeeming his father in a, you could say what you want about the kind of the hysterical nature of how can you redeem Darth Vader after everything he's done. But, it serves as Return of the Jedi would serve as a nice conclusion to the Anakin Skywalker story if these movies are released in sequential order.
Which I think it does in our universe, but in whatever universe this is, I think it's a little bit more of like an impact punch.
Yeah. Like especially, if we're going with the edited versions where you actually see Hayden Christensen at the end of Return of the Jedi, which,
shout out TNT for always including that version.
Yeah. So let's talk about this movie a bit now that we got the preamble out of the way. So this is obviously a sequel to Attack of the Clones. For my money, the worst one.
I don't even think there's a question this is the worst Star Wars movie that's ever been made.
You might get some debate from other people.
That it's Phantom Menace?
No. Keep going.
It better not be what I think they think it is.
There are probably people that think The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie.
Oh my, stop. And we were just talking
I'm not one of those people, by the way.
And me neither. What did I say? I said The Last Jedi is the best looking Star Wars movie. I think that and Empire...
I think that has to count for something, too.
That and Empire, the two best looking Star Wars movies. Some of the concepts they started to introduce in The Last Jedi, I think, are pretty intriguing and pretty interesting. I mean, the whole dyad in the Force. I mean, the landing did not stick, and I think that made people even more angry about The Last Jedi, but the idea was kind of... And it's funny, if the same thoughts and ideas were introduced earlier, people would be like, this is fine.
Well, that's the problem with the sequel trilogy, is there was not a coherent narrative established from the beginning, from The Force Awakens.
And they were fighting an uphill battle with fans because it wasn't the original three, even though they were in their 50s, they were in their 60s. So
Star Wars fans are always known for being reasonable.
Right. Oh, we'll talk about that when the Obi-Wan review comes out,
because it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
So this one comes off, like I said, the back of Return of the Clones. All your Attack of the Clones.
Return of the Clones.
I mean, the clones are back in this one.
They are back.
All your favorites are back. Hayden Christensen's back. Ewan McGregor's back.
Natalie Portman's back.
Newt Gunray is back.
And he never left. Jar Jar Binks is not back.
He is back at the end of it.
Oh, I forgot he is in the end of this.
He's in the Senate. He's a senator.
I am the Senate. Am I the villain?
Is Jar Jar Binks a Sith Lord? Let's get into it.
It's like poetry, they rhyme. George Lucas, you absolute menace.
You could debate. You're like, how good is he really?
He made American Graffiti, which is one of like small...
I mean, how good is he really when it comes to Star Wars?
So, can we get into it?
Sure.
He's one of the best storytellers of all time.
Yeah.
He's one of the best set builders of all time and world builders.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a decent director.
So this is the prequel trilogy was George Lucas's sandbox. This is notoriously where he kind of had free reign as director. You know, he had a lot of kind of lording over him in the original trilogy, most notably his wife, who, you know, I'll ask around. She kind of had her hands all over that original trilogy. The prequel trilogy was George Lucas's animal, and mixed returns on that animal,
especially those first two. But the third one, I mean, the
third one is good.
Yeah, the third one, the PG-13 rating is immediately the best decision that they made, was to make it a little bit darker, and because you needed to make it darker because this was going to be the launch pad into whatever the original trilogy would be in this alternate universe where we don't know what's going to happen next. So you do need it to be a little bit darker, and you do need this to be the fall of Anakin Skywalker, this character.
Some dark moments in this movie.
Mr. Skywalker, there's too many of them. What do you want us to do? Should have called it. You should have called in to work sick that day, my man.
Should have get help. Get help. Where do you want to kind of take this?
The opening, because this is the best. It's one of the best openings in all of Star Wars.
It's a proper Star Wars.
It's a proper Star Wars. Ooh, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this. I think the best the best three openings in Star Wars. I really like Rogue One's opening, now that I'm thinking about this. So I think Revenge of the Sith might be... I don't want to say it.
It's fine. You can say it. This is a safe space.
I think it might be the best opening. It's the best introduction to Star Wars opening in the whole thing. Minus A New Hope, because
Hope's iconic.
Let's just take A New Hope out of this conversation, because I just don't think it's fair. I think... these movies do have good openings.
A lot of them do, yeah.
Yeah, Empire's got a really great opening. It's funny too, because I have the brilliant Jason Aaron Star Wars run with, I forget who does the art for it, but I think it's John Cassidy who did the art for, I believe it was whatever the X-Men. Oh, the Astonishing X-Men that Joss Whedon wrote. Really good run. Yeah, Joss Whedon, not a great guy. Made a good comic in 2000. I think it was around the same time this came out, 2005. But regardless, that Star Wars comic kind of bridges the gap between 4 and 5. You get a lot of bits with Vader. You get a really, you kind of Luke and Vader see each other again in between that, and they have a confrontation in between that. But again, Luke's just not ready for any of this. Beside the point, kind of bridging that gap, that whole idea. Like, I think that Hoth scene is really good retroactively after me reading that too. But even without that, like, Luke's arc is done so well in that original trilogy, because he's not some like guy that has it all figured. He's genuinely struggling to do this, like, because if Anakin's the chosen one, like, Luke's like the surrogate chosen one that's not really the chosen. You're like, you're
all we got.
Yeah, you're break glass in case of emergency, and we shattered that glass.
Yeah, you're all we got, kid.
Yeah. Yeah, you better buck up and get it together, man.
And then, going back to Revenge of the Sith and the opening, it throws you right back into these familiar characters, right? So you get Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen. He's got new hair.
He's got new hair. He's got that scar.
He's got that scar. He just looks cooler.
He just looks cool.
He does Attack of the Clones.
He looks like a grown up now.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that stupid Jedi braid that
but he still has like youthful exuberance kind of about him.
Yeah.
He's wheeling and dealing. He's having fun.
Yeah.
It's weird. This is like an amalgamation of the first two versions of Anakin Skywalker, because we see a little bit of this in Phantom Menace, even when he's in the starship.
He's a kid,
fighting.
Yeah,
this is where he loves life. He loves being in a starship. He loves dogfighting. He loves the thrill of it's like Top Gun. He just loves this. And then Obi-Wan's like, oh man, he's white knuckling it. 2 hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah, it's like teaching your kid how to drive.
Yeah, so we get more of that. There's a lot of like fun bits between the two of them before obviously what happens. This
is by far the best they've been together, whether it be the good stuff that they reminisce on earlier in the movie or jumping.
They're not really Master and Padawan anymore. They're more like contemporaries.
Yeah, they're like buddy cops at this point.
They're like guys. They're just two friends that just like hang out together.
Do you like the father-son comp or you like the brothers comp? I think the brothers comp is way better. Yeah, I think it's way much more relatable because it's like
there's a lot of weird aging stuff going on in this prequel trilogy.
Sure, I think it's more of the fact Natalie Portman was not 14, but she was supposed to be 14. Right.
And then you went
Phantom Menace.
from child Anakin Skywalker for one movie, and then boom, he's Hayden Christensen.
Because what is it? What is he supposed to be? 10 in
Jake Lloyd?
Yeah. He's 10, and then
10
he's
11,
20 in Attack of the Clones, right?
Is he 20 or is he like 18-ish?
I think he's something like he's of age.
Yeah.
Hopefully in space years.
Annie, you've grown.
Oof.
You've also grown.
Yeah.
Grown more beautiful, I mean.
Yeah.
Oh boy, Attack of the Clones.
This guy George Lucas can write.
The guy just flames coming off the pen.
It's insane. See? Stop being so mad about what you guys get. You should be grateful for what you're getting, because you could have gotten more of dialogue like that.
But yeah,
I don't want to talk about Obi-Wan because it's gonna get.
And then
what did we do?
So
why would you guys do that?
So we get back.
Can't have a good thing. You ruined it. Ranting.
Yeah, so Anakin and Obi-Wan, they're having a good... Basically, they're just, the brothers come. They get the one, like, straight-laced one, and then the one, like, loose unit one. And boy, is he a loose unit.
Much like the two of us.
Yeah.
I'm definitely Anakin in this situation, and there's not even a second thought about that.
Maybe on here, but in real life, I think we're opposite.
I think we are, too. In real life, 100%. I'm definitely Obi-Wan in real life. But on here,
Yeah, this guy just lets it fly.
Yeah, I do.
Speaking of letting it fly, so... They fly into a starship.
Because this is Star Wars and they're in space.
Yeah, we're like... I enjoy this opening because it's like, we're doing a mission.
Yeah, throw us in. And it helps the fact that, like, the Jedi are cooler. Because before the Jedi were, like, these super secret organization guys.
Yeah.
And in the...
A lot of council meetings.
Yeah, in the original trilogy, they're all dead.
Yeah.
And the sequel trilogy...
And I like the progression, especially, like, Obi-Wan. Because, like, go back to Phantom Menace. He's kind of, like, the fun one. And, like, Qui-Gon is, like, the straight-laced one. Mm-hmm. And then, Attack of the Clones, he's, like, I guess that's where, like, the fatherly thing, because he kind of, like, lords over Anakin a bit.
And then I think it's also to see Jango and Boba Fett on top of that kind of,
Yeah. And then in this one, they're, like, really, like, just contemporaries. And Obi-Wan's like, oh, you darn kid, you're going to get me killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Anakin's like... That's the plan.
Yeah, don't you know I'm the chosen one? You better put some respect on my name. Come on, man.
I'm bulletproof.
Yeah, I'm bulletproof. I got plot armor.
So they're on
and physical armor by the end of this movie.
So they're on a mission. Chancellor... Aghast. Chancellor Palpatine's been kidnapped.
Oh, no. By who?
Christopher Lee is back.
No. And he's in cahoots with General Grievous.
Oh, boy. Can't wait. So General Grievous, who we haven't seen, we have not been introduced to because the Clone Wars wasn't a thing yet, has working with Count Dooku, have abducted Chancellor Palpatine, and it's up to our two heroic Jedi Knights to save the Chancellor. Classic opening for a thing.
Yeah.
For an adventure. And just some good stuff. Christopher Lee's in this movie for like 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. There's action, there's comedy, like this movie gets kind of funny.
Oh yeah, the
especially
beginning
with the
is pretty
R2
funny.
bits,
Yeah.
I love when they get captured after they defeat him, and they're just like, Obi-Wan's just like, we're smarter than this. How do we get captured on here?
And Anakin's like, apparently not.
Yeah.
And then he's like, R2, can you hear us? And then R2 does like the R2 scream, and he smashes it into a wall.
Yeah.
Just good, like, just slapstick stuff.
Yeah.
But the important bit, I guess, in this beginning is kind of that tweaking. We start to get a little heavy-handed with the Palpatine manipulating Anakin thing. So they duel Dooku again, mirroring their duel from Attack of the Clones. And
Anakin's powers have doubled since the last time he's seen the Count.
How do you know?
Because he said it.
How do you know it doubled? How is he quantifying this?
The midichlorians.
Twice the prod, double the fall. I'll tell you what's about to fall. Your head on the ground, Count Dooku.
Boom, you looking for this?
After I decapitate you. So Anakin, Obi-Wan is, despite Sith Lords being his speciality, he's quickly dispatched of. And then Anakin gets Dooku on the rope, does a little whoop, your arm's off. And I got your lightsaber.
And Palpatine's just like, this is great and all, but
he does the Boba Fett from Attack of the Clones at one point. He's like,
yeah,
get him,
yeah, get him, did,
get him, Anakin.
He gaslights him,
big time.
Cut off your arm. You want revenge, right? Go ahead.
He's like, Dooku's like, ugh.
Yeah. Dooku said, "You're not gonna kill me."
But yeah, like Dooku almost could have fumbled the whole operation there when he was like, "But Master, wait."
Yeah.
He should have said that in hindsight.
Yeah. And Anakin's gonna be like, "What did he?" He's like, "What? What?" He's just joking. He wasn't serious.
Told you his first name is Master, isn't it?
Yeah. Master Palpatine. Master Sheev Palpatine.
So Palpatine convinces Anakin to just execute Dooku. He's like, I shouldn't. He's like, but you're gonna, aren't you? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna.
It's gonna be freaking cool.
Boom.
Yeah.
Does the real, just has the lightsabers like around his neck and then just chink.
Head on the ground like a melon rolling around back there. R.I.P. Christopher Lee. You will be missed.
Yes. Obi-Wan is unconscious for this whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, what happened? And he's like, I don't know, man.
Yeah. He just looks at his head on the ground. He's just like, you darn kid.
He's like, he forced you to do that, right? And he's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Dooku left me no choice.
Yeah.
But to cut his head off. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you.
Isn't that his lightsaber in your hand? Nope.
He's just hiding it behind his back. He said, nope.
No, it isn't. And then Q, obviously, like, overdrawn comical escape attempts by these three.
Again.
A lot of Palpatine...
I'm not going to talk about Obi-Wan. I'm not going to do it.
A lot of Palpatine running was expecting in this.
Let's just call it scurrying, for lack of a better term.
Then they're captured. Oh, no. We're captured again. And then we obviously see the first appearance of General Grievous, who is a android, human, alien guy.
He's an alien that I think in
has emphysema?
Nope. I think it was explained in the original Clone Wars, whatever, like that cartoonish animated thing was that.
The Samurai Jack looking one?
Yeah, that one. That Mace Windu cracked his windpipe or whatever, and that's why he.
Oh, he crushed his windpipe with the Force.
Yeah, and that's why he coughs all the time like that.
Good. Get that looked at, General Grievous. What are you doing? So we don't know a whole lot about General Grievous. He's got these cool little droids with glowy purple sticks.
And somehow he was trained in the ways of the Jedi, even though he's not Force sensitive.
We didn't get there yet.
My bad.
We don't know he's trained yet. We just think
crap.
he's an alien droid guy.
Yeah.
And then Obi-Wan's like, kaboom, the windshield's blown out, and we're out of here. And they get out, and then they rescue congratulations, you rescued. And then Palpatine's like, Anakin, why don't you hang around me for a bit?
Yeah.
Yeah?
You're a good kid.
And then Anakin's like, hey, Jedi Council, what's up? I rescued the Chancellor.
It's time, right?
It's me. It's your boy, Anakin Skywalker. Look at me, the chosen one.
Yeah.
Qui-Gon was
you guys
right.
don't remember 2 movies? I was the chosen one?
Remember that? Remember that bit?
Yeah.
And then I just saved the Chancellor. I killed Count Dooku.
Yeah.
That guy was an issue.
They were like, you did what? They were like, oh, nothing.
He forced my hand.
He forced my hand.
And I forced his off his body.
Yeah.
So that's a different story.
Yeah.
He's like, so I get to be master now, right? And Mace Windu, Sam Jackson's back. And he's like, nah.
Absolutely not.
He's like, you can sit with us
Sure.
at the table, but you don't get to be master.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't eat. Sorry. You're not Master Skywalker. You're just Skywalker. Sorry.
And in the great words of Sam Wilson, why do you think that is?
Yeah. Why is that?
Yeah.
And then Anakin, he gets real mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm going to go to my wife. That's against the Jedi code. No, I just don't know why I'm not a Jedi master.
You're going to go see your what? He's like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go talk to the senator.
Yeah. Privately.
Even though she's not a senator at this point. Oh, no, she is.
Yep.
But she's doing a bunch of other stuff, so Jar Jar has to, fill in for her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hello, wife. When we got married. Remember we got married in
They
secret?
don't even kiss in private. They're, kissing it in the open.
And everyone's like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. Well, back to those trade disputes we were talking about. You know what I really like about this movie? The little, hints to all the other stuff that's going on. When Obi-Wan's just, this is, the 3rd time you've saved my life, not the 4th. That business on that other planet doesn't count. It's different. I love all, the minute details that we never just jump into. It just gives them a little bit of sense of history and, lived in universe. I think that's pretty
Palpatine's like, Anakin, why don't you be, my, personal assistant guy? And the Jedi Council's like, that's weird, but sure, we'll allow it because why don't you keep an eye on Palpatine because something's not right with that guy. And Anakin's like, are you telling me to spy on him? And we're like, we're not telling you to spy on him.
Not saying to do that, but if you just so happen to just chill with him,
So the Clone Wars are happening while this is going on. But keep in mind the Clone Wars is just a big front, basically, for Palpatine to seize power of the Republic.
He's gonna what?
Spoiler alert, Palpatine's not a great guy. So yeah, Obi-Wan, and then so we get it's a real Attack of the Clones sitch again. Anakin and Obi-Wan are split up. Anakin's tasked obviously with spying on the Chancellor and loving his wife, and not Palpatine's wife, his wife.
It's Rey's grandmother you're talking about. What's your name?
And
spoiler alert for the Rise of Skywalker.
And Obi-Wan is tasked with going after General Grievous because General Grievous is becoming a real annoyance. And so that's basically like our two kind of storylines. And then what's going to happen when they reconvene? Nothing good.
Nothing good.
So, yeah, the Clone Wars are happening, but they're wrapping up.
And, alright, so while all this is going on, Anakin's starting to... His nightmares are ramping up a little bit more, and he keeps seeing the same nightmare. Unlike Wanda's nightmares of, you know, seeing her kids every night, he is seeing this nightmare where Padme dies. Big old dun-dun-dun. So, yeah, he keeps having these visions that Padme is, you know... is
dying.
Yeah, she's dying. Something's wrong. And his, you know... his natural response is to go seek out a little bit more power. And he thinks maybe if he's a Jedi Master, he'll be able to do that.
And Palpatine's like, I got a little something extra for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? And Anakin's like, nope.
Nope, but I'm going to hear it, right?
Didn't read that one in the sacred texts.
Yeah.
Palpatine's like, well, let me tell you something. He was a big, powerful guy, big, strong guy. Knew the Force a bit, but was a little more in tune with the dark side. And Anakin's like, all right, I'm listening. I don't like what I'm listening to, but I'm listening.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, look, he got real strong, and then he found a way to live forever. And Anakin's like, now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, this is cool. How can I just pass that ability off to my wife? Your what? My friend.
He's like, no, your wife, huh? He's like, Padme's in trouble? He's like, yeah. He's like, can I save her? And he's like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Just hang around me a little more, and I'll show you the ways of the dark side of the Force. And Anakin's like, what?
Not the dark side.
So Anakin goes back to the Jedi Council, and he's like, look, I know I'm not happy that you told me to spy on Palpatine, but I'm a thinking Palpatine's a Sith Lord. And Mace Windu's like, are you sure?
Yeah.
And Anakin's like, didn't you tell me to spy on this guy?
Yeah, and I mean, if you talk universe for a second, they only ever found one at a time. It was either Dooku or it was Maul. They never found.
And
more
they never
than
knew who was which.
Who was the other one? And they might have just found it.
And Mace Windu's like, all right, look, we'll take it from here. And Anakin's like, I'm getting benched again. And Mace Windu's like, yep. You're getting benched again, Chief.
Yeah, while all this is happening, on Palpatine's front, he's trying to amass more power as, you know, kind of a figurehead moreover than just like a senator himself. Instead of being a senator,
he's the chancellor. Now he wants to become like the dictator.
Yeah, he wants to turn himself from like, you know, a president into like a straight
dictator.
Out, yeah. It's working.
While all this is going on, Obi-Wan's hunting General Grievous, finds him.
Yeah.
And we get one of the most legendary scenes in Star Wars history. Hello there,
General Kenobi.
You are the bold one. And then that's where the shoe drops. Obi-Wan's like, ching,
yep.
Your move. And then Grievous is like, I got 4 arms, son.
Yeah.
You fool. I've been trained in the Jedi arts by Count Dooku.
First of all, how?
Houseway. And then he starts doing the spinny lightsabers, and then Obi-Wan fries him with a gun.
Fun scene. We love Ewan McGregor.
He's great.
He's so charismatic. It just bleeds out of him. It's wild.
Yo, move. And then shoots Grievous with a gun. It's very like Indiana Jones.
Yeah. Oh, I love that scene.
The guy swinging the sword around and Indiana Jones. Dang.
I don't have time for this.
The Grievous scene's a little more involved than that.
Right.
You know, Obi-Wan realizes like, man, 4 lightsabers are better than 1. I had enough issues with them all.
Yeah.
And that guy only had 2 blades. This guy's got 4.
Yeah. 4 different blades.
Yeah. Presumably from all the Jedi he's killed throughout these Clone Wars. While all this is going on.
Can I say something? The Jedi freaking suck.
Yeah. No kidding.
They are the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not good at their job.
No. Not once in this whole prequel trilogy have they done a good job. Not a single Jedi did a good job. Speaking of Jedi not doing a good job, Yoda goes to Kashyyyk because there's separatists invading Kashyyyk, and
the real answer is we just need to get Chewbacca in this movie.
Yeah, so Yoda's just there, and then all right, so we're ramping up. Here we go. Mace Windu takes his crew of disposable Jedi, and they're like, knock knock, knock knock. Chancellor Palpatine's like, who is it? And he's like, it's me, it's Mace Windu, and you're under arrest.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I'm surely not a Sith Lord.
Yeah.
Would a Sith Lord do this? And he pulls out a red lightsaber and it's on.
Yeah. Quickly shows the power of the dark side.
Yeah.
I wish I could have said that in in Adam Driver's Kylo Ren voice, because say what you will about that character, he talks pretty dang cool.
Yeah, I like the cadence.
Yeah.
Palpatine's cadence I'm not as fond of.
You mean when he just goes from talking like a normal person to
going,
yeah,
and he does like that scream before he corkscrew attacks Mace Windu.
He's an issue. He is a problem.
I look, God bless Ian McDiarmid. Mm-hmm. Those facial expressions when he's swinging his lightsaber at Mace Windu, when he's like, and this is a really cool scene because Palpatine obviously quickly disposes of disposable Jedi.
Not only disposable Jedi, I mean, these are
Jedi Masters.
Yeah. And then on top of what they say is the most, like, physically powerful Jedi Master in Mace Windu, like, the one that's supposed to be, like, the enforcer of the group out of all of them.
But we also see that, right? Because we got a little bit of Mace Windu in Attack of the Clones, but he was fighting Jango Fett. Big deal. Here he's fighting the Dark Lord of the Sith. And he gets him.
Right.
You know, you really get to see the martial prowess of Mace Windu in this scene, and I thought that was really cool.
Right. Can we get a Mace Windu origin tale or something?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Who would play young Mace Windu? John Boyega. I think, you know who would be cool? Yahya Mateen or Abdul Mateen. I think he would be a really cool. Good young Mace Windu.
So yeah, so Mace has Palpatine dead to rights, and then when you know it, Anakin shows up.
It's not the Jedi way. Didn't you just kill Dooku? Like,
yeah, but that was different. I told you, I did that because I was self-defense.
Self-defense of having a man dead to rights is definitely self-defense.
Nobody else knew that. So, you know, to be fair, I mean, I guess Anakin does technically have a point. Like, if Chancellor Palpatine is this darks, he should be tried. And Mace Windu's like, nah, I'm ending this once and for all. But then Anakin goes, I need him.
And Mace is just like, oh, crap. Maybe we should have put him on the council. He wouldn't have won off the deep end.
And then we see how, you want to know how I got these scars? We see how Palpatine got those scars. Gets his Force lightning blasted back in his face. That's fun. And then Anakin lobs off Mace Windu's arms and heaves him out a window.
Why did you have to say it like that?
And Mace Windu is gone. And
presumably.
I mean, until further notice.
You never know.
And then Palpatine, you know, it's on. He's full on Darth Sidious at this point. He puts the hood up and
there's no more hiding.
No, he's like, well, because now he's essentially gotten what he wants. He made the Jedi out to be evil by
attempting to kill him. Yeah,
they attempted to kill the Chancellor of, you know, the Republic, and Anakin is at a moral and emotional conflict at this point. He's like, what have I done? Like,
and that's where the Sith attack.
I just betrayed, like, my Jedi Order, like my quote unquote family. I just betrayed them. And Palpatine's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah, forget about them.
The Jedi are the literal worst. And he's like, you henceforth shall be known as Darth Vader. And we're like,
yeah, he said it.
He said it.
He did it. He said it.
And Anakin gets down on one knee, and Palpatine does like the...
I knight you.
You're an Avenger now, kid.
Yeah.
You're a Sith now, kid.
And you know what makes this super interesting? It's the fact that he's the chosen one. So it's not even... You just talk about power in general. Like, imagine the chosen one on the dark side type power. And that's
this
what you
was
get.
The worst case scenario. This is what all the other guys on the council warned Qui-Gon against.
Yeah.
Like, he's could be the chosen one, but
he's too old and he's seen too much. He's been through too much already.
Yeah, he's conflicted. He's afraid. You know, he's attached to his mom.
Because fear leads to anger.
Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side.
And the dark side he did go to.
And then, you know, Qui-Gon's dead, so what does he care?
Yeah.
He just left this in Obi-Wan's lap.
Yeah.
So Palpatine gets up there to the Senate with his hood, and he's looking all ugly, and people... You know, you think people would have gotten a clue that maybe something's off with this guy, and he's like, the Jedi attempted to kill me, but now I'm seizing... This is my impression, by the way.
Great.
I'm taking over the power because... decisions need to be made.
Yeah.
And Padme's like, this isn't right. I don't like this. I'm gonna go talk to Anakin. Don't do that.
Because that's how democracy ends.
With thunderous applause. Because she's like, how did this happen? Yeah. So now we get to this is where this movie takes a turn. So Palpatine gets on the walkie-talkie with one of the clone troopers, and he goes, "Clone trooper, exercise order 66." And we're like, oh, that sounds ominous.
The heck is that? What's Order 66?
What's Order 66? Lo and behold, rapid cuts to just Jedi being gunned down.
Yeah, murdered. All
your favorites. Plo Koon gets exploded in space. Ki-Adi-Mundi is gunned down. Just heaps of Jedi just being killed all over the galaxy as the clones have been turned by programming, orchestrated by Palpatine when the clones were created. It's a real sad scene. The musical score is really tremendous in that sequence, I think.
Oh no, it's phenomenal. It's some of John Williams' best work, and that's really saying something. I mean, like I said, this is the piece in this lore that really ignited both ways, retroactively and for the future of this franchise, the in-universe future. Yeah, what everything is predicated on is Order 66. It's predicated.
We cut back to Kashyyyk with Yoda, and he's feeling like all the Jedi being extinguished, and then the clones go to turn on Yoda, and Yoda quickly deals with them
because he's got plot armor.
And then Chewbacca's like, "What is happening? Like, what is going on?" And then we go back to where Obi-Wan is on Utapau, and his buddy Commander Cody, the only kind of clone with a personality at this point. Before obviously all the extended materials kind of gave more clones more personalities. He turns on Kenobi, and Kenobi gets out of there by the skin of his teeth, and he flees back to he has to get together with whoever's left because he doesn't know the scope of what's happening. And then we cut to the big scene with Anakin. You kind of get a hint of the Imperial March here with Anakin marching on the Jedi Temple with he's fully hooded and the clones behind him, and you get that dun 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 dun.
And while all this is going on, and this has been a big piece of the movie because we know where this original trilogy goes, Padme's pregnant this whole time. Padme is having a child.
That's where Anakin's visions are coming from. Is he sees Padme dying in childbirth, and he's like, "I can save her. I can do this."
It's just a lie, man.
But they don't have that. They don't have that conversation yet. We're building to that. So yeah, Anakin marches onto the Jedi Temple and just butchers a bunch of kids.
Yeah, massacres everybody. He's a psycho.
We don't see a ton of it.
Nope. Because it's not rated R.
Nope. We see a child kind of scared out of his wits.
I love the story behind that.
Me too. It's a really cool scene
because they were children in real life too. So he just yells "boo," and the kid just takes a little step back.
Yeah, it's a real harrowing kind of scene because you just see because it's really effective character work because you grow to like Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, and if you add the Clone Wars into this as well, oh my gosh, this is such a tragic and such a sad. Really,
like you're watching that movie, especially as like a younger person, and you want Anakin to be doing anything other than what he's doing.
Right.
Like you want to like grab him and be like,
"Wake up! Yeah, wake up! You're being twisted." And I think getting into your argument about if these movies came out in chronological order, like getting into Return of the Jedi, like him being manipulated, like it would have been a very fast track to understanding he was manipulated into this. But I mean, a small piece of Anakin probably wanted to do this, and that's where we get
a little bit of that later on when he's talking to Padme about what his plan is.
Yeah, and I mean, you get that also in Attack of the Clones too, and that was your first introduction to like Anakin being not as light as the Chosen One was probably foretold to be.
Yeah,
that's not in Anakin's nature. Anakin killed Tusken Raiders because they killed his mother, and he felt it out of revenge. That's not something a Jedi would do, but it's something Anakin Skywalker and probably a lot of people would do.
Yeah. Yeah, he just doesn't have the restraint. The Jedi learned from an early age.
Because he started too young.
Yeah.
All that power. Old, or too old, yeah. All that power for what?
Yeah.
For Qui-Gon to be stricken mimosas in Jedi land.
And a lot of Jedi soon to join him.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you guys all doing here? And Mace Windu's like...
What did we say, man? What did we say?
I told you the boy was dangerous.
It couldn't have been that bad. What did he do? He stole a speeder or something? He killed all of us.
Crap.
Crap. My bad. Where's Obi-Wan? He's still good? He's still down there?
All right, so he'll take care of this.
Yeah, he'll take care of this.
So Obi-Wan gets back. He meets up with Yoda first, right? Before he meets with Padme?
Yeah, so he talks to Yoda for a little bit. Yep. He's with Bail Organa as well.
And Jimmy Smits, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. He's everywhere.
And Yoda's like, Anakin did this, right? And Obi-Wan's like, no.
Nah. What are you talking about?
Anakin? My Anakin?
Yeah, Anakin.
Anakin? who killed Dooku out of self-defense.
Yeah. He would never do something. That had a kid without her permission.
And they're like, he what? And Obi-Wan's like, whoop.
Oh, my bad. Crap.
And then Yoda's like, well, this security footage begs to differ. Presses play on the security footage. Cue Anakin murdering a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, oh,
crap.
God.
This is real.
And then he sees Palpatine, like, anoint him, like, Lord Vader, hello, your new name. And Obi-Wan's like...
Yeah, it's funny because, like you said, Obi-Wan's, like, outside looking in on all of this because he's off-world during this whole thing. He just
knows that the clones, like, went berserk.
Yeah,
he's like, what is happening?
Yeah, well, I thought we paid good money for these clones. What happened?
Yeah, Master Sifo-Dyas, you know, I was Master Sifo-Dyas. I pretended to be him anyway.
Yeah.
We got from those weird tree stalk people on Camino.
Yeah. And then we launch into...
Well, we get to Obi-Wan meeting with Padme.
Oh, right.
He's
before.
like, look, Anakin's a psycho. And Padme's like, my Anakin?
Yeah.
He's like, look, I just did this whole thing with Yoda.
Yeah.
So I'm going to catch you up.
Yeah, I'm going to expedite this process real quick.
He killed a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
That's usually the line. Like, that's the line when people are like...
Because the Tusken Raider kids, I guess to you, Padme, because you immediately fell in love with him right after it, weren't enough. But real Jedi kids, is that where you draw the line?
That's always the line. That's the line for, like, every person that, like, doubts that Anakin did this. And, like, he killed a bunch of kids. And they're like, oh, man.
They were Jedi kids.
Oh,
no.
man.
Crap, and then we gotta take him down now.
And then Obi-Wan, like, gives, like, a glance at Padme, and he's like, Anakin's the father, isn't he? And Padme's like, what do you mean? I just put on a little weight. And Obi-Wan's like, man.
You're Natalie Portman. No, you didn't.
And then she's like, nah, I'm pregnant. And he's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, we all know.
He's like, we gotta do something about Anakin. And Padme's like, you're not gonna kill him, are you? And Obi-Wan's like, I'll do what I must.
Yep.
Well, that line comes later, but, you know. He's not going... I mean, he is going to have a chat with him. But,
yeah.
So Anakin arrives on Mustafar, and he's just going to tie up loose ends, essentially. Palpatine is talking with our guy, Newt Gunray. He's back. And he's like, don't worry, my apprentice is on his way. He's going to sort things out with you guys. And Newt Gunray's like, yes, great, good. Another Sith is coming. He's going to protect us.
Yeah.
Cue Anakin just butchering all these guys.
Yeah.
He's like, Lord Vader, we were informed that you were on your way. And Anakin's like, oh, yeah. Did Palpatine tell you why I'm here? And he's like, he said you were going to take care of us. And you're like, yeah.
I'm going to take care of this.
So he butchers all those guys, and meanwhile, Obi-Wan and Padme are en route. They arrive. Padme arrives, and she's like, Anakin, what's going on? By this point, Anakin has the Sith eyes.
Yeah, he's there. He's fully over to the dark side.
Yep.
There's no turning him back now.
Yep. And Padme's like, what are you doing?
But it's so sad because he's doing it for a decent reason. He just wants to save Padme. That's it.
So you think.
Shouldn't have had that. Shouldn't have fallen.
But then he starts talking.
Yeah.
And you're like, is there more to this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This guy.
Because he's like, look at me. Look at this. Look how powerful I am.
Yeah, look at my eyes.
He's like, look at my eyes, first of all.
Cool.
And he's like, I can save you, Padme. And he's like, and then, I can overthrow Palpatine.
Yeah, and then, we could rule the entire galaxy together. She's like, whoop. Nope.
She's like, Obi-Wan was right. And Anakin's like, don't say that. Why'd you say that name?
Yeah. It was your master's name.
Cue Obi-Wan standing.
He's like standing there like a principal after you just pulled a prank and they show up late in like a teen movie. That's exactly how he's standing there with his hands on his hips. He's just like...
And then Anakin's like, it's not bad enough that you brought his name into this.
Yeah.
But you brought him here to kill me?
You brought him here to kill me.
And then
Hayden Christensen, everybody.
And Padme's like, nope, I didn't. And Anakin's like, strangle you to death.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, yep.
Bro, you mind?
Can you not?
Yeah.
And Anakin's like, all right, fine.
That's Natalie Portman, for God's sakes. Don't choke her.
Natalie Portman does the worst, like, fainting fall, I think, in human history.
She's dying. What do you mean fake?
She's like, she does, like, literally, they're like, and she, like, falls down.
She's dying.
Whatever, bro. It's not great. And then
George Lucas, everybody.
And then cue just a sensational exchange.
God. I don't care about any of the criticisms of this fight. It's too fast-paced. There's just a whole bunch of the dialogue between the two of them before leading into the I'll do what I must and you will try launching into Anakin doing the full-out backflip into the fight is just...
Yeah, it's just a comedy of
errors. It's the epitome of Star Wars. That's what it is.
It's the big, like, this is like the Shakespearean bit. Basically, is like your two main characters have a little chat before they engage in their duel, and that's what we get. Boy, do we get a chat.
Yeah. Shout out Denzel and Macbeth. Just I forget what the actor's name is, but between Macduff and Macbeth, that was fun because he tells him Macduff tells him straight up, he's just like, "Hey, bro, I was born from a C-section. I'm about to kill you, bro."
Now, my favorite bit is before that when that other guy runs up on Macbeth.
Oh yeah,
and Macbeth is like, looking real bored.
Yeah,
like, "Are you bored of a woman?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Then I have no reason to be afraid of you."
And just immediately dispatches
deals with that
man.
guy.
Oh, that movie.
So yeah, we get to Anakin and Obi-Wan, and they have a big philosophical kind of debate. And Anakin's like, "I've seen through all the nonsense of the Jedi," and Obi-Wan's like, "What are you even saying?"
I just love that. Obi-Wan's like, "I was just fighting a 4-armed robot alien thing, and then Commander Cody, our best friend, turned on us. I'm a little out of it. If you can just, refresh me on some of the stuff. What's wrong with you, man?" And he's just like,
"Hey, I'm the man in this piece."
Yeah, he just turned into Denzel from Training Day.
I run this here. You just work here.
Yeah. Yeah, Anakin's real upset. He's just like, if you're gonna do what I think you're gonna do, you better not miss. You better not miss.
Yeah, Anakin's basically like, you're just like a hypocrite. Basically, like I'm bringing peace, freedom, justice,
and security to my new empire. Yeah, and Obi-Wan's like, what are you talking about?
He's like, don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I've seen through the lies of the Jedi.
He said the Jedi, from my perspective, the Jedi.
He goes, and then Obi-Wan is so human in this scene. Because he's saying like the most bare bones thing. He's like, "Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil."
Like, what are you talking about? From my perspective, the Jedi are evil.
And Obi-Wan's like, "All right, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's no talking to you."
Yeah. I'll do what I must.
You will try.
There we go. And then John Williams just ignites fire.
We do the backflip and we do a quick exchange, but then we cut to my favorite scene of the entire movie.
What you probably think is a better fight scene than that fight scene.
So we go back to Palpatine's chamber.
Remember that video on the internet when their two grandpas at the nursing home are fighting? That's exactly what this scene is.
So remember Palpatine had those red guards and they look real intimidating? So Yoda walks in, and the red guards put their spears up, and Yoda just pushes them against the wall.
Did you not forget I was Jedi Master Yoda?
And knocks them unconscious.
Yeah.
It's my favorite scene in the whole movie. It's so good. And Palpatine's like, "Oh, Master Yoda. Hello. Yeah. Hello there. Chancellor Palpatine, you are a bold one."
Yeah.
And he is a bold one.
Oh my gosh. I love how confident he is that we won. There's no losing this.
Yeah.
We won.
And Yoda's like, "Look, you're talking a real tough game, but have you seen this Anakin Skywalker?
Yeah.
He's a nutcase."
Yeah, and one line that I love, he tells him, he's going to be more powerful. This fight that we're about to have does not matter. I don't matter. You don't matter. He's going to be the one that's going to truly end the Jedi. Once he's done with Obi-Wan, I'll be done with you. The Sith will reign.
And Yoda's like, "We'll see. He's a nutcase."
Yeah.
And Palpatine's like, "But he's my nutcase."
Yeah.
and then
he's very Mark Jackson to his Steph Curry. You're the greatest thing to ever touch a basketball
Palpatine
court.
does give the line where he's like, he's going to be more powerful than all of us, but for now he's mine.
Yeah.
So short-term goal, son.
Yeah.
And then Yoda, he's like, "I've heard enough out of you." Whoop.
Yep.
Force pushes Palpatine. Palpatine tumbles over his chair.
It's ridiculous.
His robe goes up. You see his trousers.
His loafers.
It's the most embarrassing Palpatine situation we've ever seen.
Yeah. Immediately gets up. I don't know, where does he pull the lightsaber from? He just lifts his hand up and the lightsaber's there.
Out of his sleeve, a magician. And then, we get a big... Because Attack of the Clones Yoda fight got rave reviews. So we needed to get another flippy Yoda fight.
Because, again, all the times we saw Yoda in the original trilogy, he wasn't doing any of this, so we had to show the fact that he was one of the most powerful Jedi.
So then the finale of this movie is, in essence, the duel between Palpatine and Yoda and the duel between Anakin and Obi-Wan. And they're intercut between each other. And then, the Anakin Obi-Wan duel is just out of control.
It's brutal. It's pretty brutal. It's a tough sequences. Anytime you think that Anakin has the upper hand, it does show you why Obi-Wan is a Jedi Master, for one. He does hold his own against this, budding, nexus of hate and anger that's blossoming in Anakin, but Obi-Wan himself is very much an oak in the ground and very strong.
The choreography is just off the charts.
Yeah.
This is a lot of legitimate stick work from Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen, which I think really helps it because, you know, you see a lot of fights kind of in modern movies now and there's a lot of cutting because it's a lot of stunt double work. This is a lot of them work. They worked on the scene.
From the gate. Just out of the gate, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not a ton of stunt double work here in this scene. It's a lot of legit kind of stick work between the two of them. I mean, it goes without saying it's infinitely better than the Palpatine Yoda fight.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It's not close.
Palpatine Yoda fight tumbles into the Senate chambers. They're throwing chairs at each other. That's basically it.
Yep. And I mean, I guess we're going to keep talking about the fact that, like, yeah, if there's a universe where these movies come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then what this helps too is, like, you don't know who's going to win this fight. You genuinely don't know, because what could be told, like, from like a hero's journey perspective, if Obi-Wan's truly like the main character, like he could win. He could win. I mean, does in a way, yeah. But it could have been Anakin could kill him, and then this story turns out very. I think there's like books or something like that where Anakin.
Well, the Revenge of the Sith video game,
right? Yeah,
has an alternate ending where you control Anakin and kill Obi-Wan, and then Palpatine shows up and Anakin kills Palpatine. Is how that alternate ending plays out. But yeah, I think you're right. You know, and it also helps kind of accentuate the Palpatine Yoda duel, because you're like, how is this gonna go? You know, like, is Yoda gonna kill Palpatine and then Anakin comes after Yoda? Is like that's what's gonna happen?
Because if that were to happen, that would be interesting, because like presumably Anakin's getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and Yoda's an old man at this point.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if Anakin's just running through everybody. It's just like, nah, nobody can match me in the entire galaxy.
But yeah, we get just a crazy, you know, the Palpatine Yoda duel ends a little bit before the before the Anakin Obi-Wan duel ends. We get Palpatine wins. He blasts Yoda down like a shaft, and Yoda kind of scurries away, and he's out of there. Palpatine thinks he's basically killed Yoda. And he's like, yep, I won. I'm the best. Look at me.
Yeah,
I'm the best. Cool. Anakin's going to clean up Obi-Wan, and we're going to rule the galaxy. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And doesn't quite go that way. Nope. So Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting each other, but they're also fighting the elements. They're also fighting Mustafar, which I thought was a kind of a unique kind of way to move this duel from piece to piece. It was like, this planet is very volatile, which is kind of, you know, you can get into the symbolism and all that of the place they're fighting, and, you know, their place.
This nexus of dark energy.
And the score.
Oh my god, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. I wish we could play it, but then we would be canceled. Immediately... Kathleen Kennedy would kick down these doors and drag us out by our teeth.
She'd go get us like she got John Watts.
Yeah. Maybe that's what we need to start our respective careers. When's our Star Wars movie coming out? Written by you, directed by me.
I don't know. Whenever.
What's this gonna look like?
We need Star Wars to get in the public domain, and then
no, we're gonna get hired.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. What are we doing?
Happy to do it.
What are we doing? I definitely want to do a Jedi, because listen. Hey,
come on now.
listen. I don't care what anybody says. Star Wars stories are better when there's a Jedi around. It's the way it goes. Sorry, Andor. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah. So we get to this duel. They're trying to kill each other. They get to like a lava thing.
Obi-Wan's definitely
not trying to kill him.
Yeah, I think he's just trying to subdue him to anyway. He doesn't want to do it. It's like killing your little brother. He can't do that.
Yeah. Anakin, however, is definitely trying to kill Obi-Wan.
Hey man, I'm trying to rule the galaxy, bro. You're really cramping my style right now.
Old man.
Yeah. He said, what do you mean old? It's just a normal conversation between the two of us on a daily basis.
Yeah, so they get down to like the lava river. Obi-Wan hops off a little platform and he's like, hello, look at me, I have the high ground. I don't know what that means, because there was never any type of indication in any Star Wars anything.
Yeah, we talked about, the storytelling technique of Chekhov's gun, like, you need to pay off what you did. There was nothing the trigger wasn't pulled back. There was just nothing. This was just a thing.
I don't know where this indication was that the high ground meant anything.
However, it turned into one of the biggest pop culture things after this, because he had the high ground.
I mean, I guess Obi-Wan feels so confident because he killed Maul when Maul had the high ground.
I don't know.
So he knew what Anakin was gonna do.
Mhm.
He's like, he's gonna flip over me like I flipped over him.
Yeah, and I'm gonna mess him up real good.
And
Don't try it.
Don't try it. You underestimate my power. Anakin ain't got the bunnies.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Let's just say he didn't make the Jedi basketball team.
He don't have the springs.
No.
I don't know what to tell you. He leaps, and Obi-Wan, kashink, one clean motion,
Yep.
hops off both his legs.
Yeah, Anakin's looking around.
His arms.
Yeah, his legs are over there. Boom, you looking for this?
He tumbles down like a little, sad little, limbless tumbleweed.
Yeah, and then, boom, you looking for this? Catches on fire.
Oh, insult to injury.
Yeah.
Injury to injury.
Yeah.
Anakin is literally burning to death. It's a real gruesome kind of scene.
Oh, it is. And then, I mean, Ewan McGregor shows why, in my opinion, he's the best actor in this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe outside of, like, Samuel L. Jackson, but, like, I'm talking, like, the main
delivering
characters.
these moments.
Like, you were my brother. Like, I loved you. Like, and look
and
look
all
at
Anakin is doing is screaming.
like, I hate you. Like,
it's so gut wrenching.
He gave in. He finally,
completely.
he's given in. Like,
Not to mention he's in heaps of pain
oh yeah, I would probably be in a little pain if my limbs were cut off and I was being burned alive
by lava.
by lava. Yeah,
Yeah, Anakin just screaming, "I hate you," and he's just shrieking in pain. And Obi-Wan just picks up Anakin's lightsaber and departs because presumably he doesn't want to watch
Anakin die. Yep.
So
while all this is going on, Yoda's crawling through some tunnels. He's getting away to bit.
Not the most dignified end for Yoda.
Yeah.
He tumbles into Bail Organa's little speeder ship.
Then he gets real sad and he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna go chill on Dagobah and think about what I've done.
We're done here.
Yeah, we're done here.
It's over.
It is over.
The Jedi are done.
Yep.
And then
Palpatine has the full Senate hearing. He's like, he said, you know what? I don't like the Senate. What about the Empire? You guys like that name?
The Senate.
Yeah. He's like, let's just turn this into a big old galactic empire. You guys are gonna need a ruler. I got y'all.
Yeah, look at me. Who else got a robe like this?
Yeah, look at my face, man.
My face?
Yeah, it's messed up.
Look at my robes.
Yeah, it's cool.
And they're like, damn, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And guys, just so you know, we already have our enforcing agents. They're already out there everywhere. So, yeah.
And you guys get to still be senators.
Yeah, it's cool.
You just don't do anything.
Yeah, you guys just don't have any power, and if you step out of line, we're going to kill you. But that's beside the point.
But you guys don't have to do any work.
Yeah, it's great. We'll take care of everything.
All the perks of being the senator without no responsibilities.
Yeah.
Isn't
Careful.
that great?
Careful. You got to do better, Senator.
So Padme is pregnant.
Yeah. And I need another classic Stranger Things dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
She's having twins.
What?
Ah, crap. What's the line that he said in the beginning of the movie? He said twice the
pride, double the fall.
Yeah.
And then Newt Gunray showed up and he was like, this is outrageous. Now there are two of them.
That's not real. That didn't really happen. It's just funny because The Phantom Menace is a ridiculous movie.
So Obi-Wan's like, I guess I gotta be here.
I mean, before, they're all like, holy crap, everything that we've ever known. Mace is dead. Yoda's gone.
Well, he meets up with Yoda at Bail Organa.
Before, yeah, because he's just like, hey, it's over. Everything's over that we've worked for thousands of
Obi-Wan,
years.
this would have been an inopportune time, but he probably should have just been like, I handled my business. How would you do, Yoda? And Yoda's like, ooh. Look, Palpatine kind of whooped me. Obi-Wan was like, come on, man. You're supposed to be the Grand Master.
Yeah.
I just killed the Chosen One.
Yeah. I'm nice with it.
And he was real mad at me. And Yoda's like, well, you killed him, right? Like, killed him dead? And Obi-Wan was like, probably.
Yeah, he was burning to death. He had no legs.
Yoda's like,
did you check?
Obi-Wan's like, nah. It was kind of traumatic for me.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, fine. Go check on Padme. Whatever. We'll reconvene.
Yeah. So the decision is made because presumably these kids are probably going to be force sensitive, and the only hope that this universe the only hope that this galaxy has its survival and to overthrow this empire that's being formed. So they split the kids up. It's the best way to, A, keep Anakin away from them and have him never know. Because he thinks that Padme died. So he thinks that Padme is dead.
He's informed of that later.
Yeah.
Because Palpatine just can't stop twisting that knife and manipulating.
A gaslighting king.
So yeah, Padme's like, she names the children as she's like dying. And she's like, Luke, Leia. Which, again, if this was before the trilogy, the old trilogy would have been kind of a fun moment. But it's a little goofy, like in hindsight. Like, we know where this is going. You didn't have to like...
Yeah, and then the Dr. Droids show up and they're like, we don't know why she's dying. She's just real sad.
What a crazy thing for like a doctor to say.
They're like, everything's looking good on paper.
Like, imagine if you're in that situation with like a real doctor and the doctor's just like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you.
She's dying.
You're dying.
I don't know. They're like, well, can't you? And Obi-Wan's like, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. She's real sad.
Yeah, she's real sad.
And then she croaks.
Yeah, she dies. It's over. She's gonna go be in the...
And then, well, Padme, before she dies, goes, Obi-Wan, there's still good in him.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, you sure?
Yeah. You didn't see that whole third act?
Remember when he choked you to death?
Yeah. We don't handle abusers well in this house.
We don't stand domestic abuse.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Not at all.
No. Maybe Anakin shouldn't be redeemed in any of these movies.
He does a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then Obi-Wan, Senator Organa, and Yoda have like a meeting, and Obi-Wan's like, well, Padme's dead, and Anakin's a psychopath, so what do we do with these kids? And Organa's like, I'll take the girl.
Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm a hero.
I've always wanted... Yeah, he always steps in last second, just like, I'll be the good non-Jedi character. It's fine.
It's fine. No one else is gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, he's like, I think the whole story is like they can't have kids or something like that. Yeah,
he always wanted a baby girl.
Yeah.
So now he takes Leia.
Now he's got one. He's got a real rebellious one.
Yep. And then Yoda's like...
And what of the main character of the entire story we call
And then Yoda was like, looks at Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like,
don't you
crap.
do the old fart. Don't you even think about it.
And Obi-Wan's like, all right, I'll take the boy.
Yeah.
But where am I going to take him? And Yoda's like, take him to Tatooine.
Why?
Because Anakin hates sand.
It's
coarse and rough and it gets everywhere.
But then that doesn't make... I can't say anything. I gotta wait a couple weeks.
He'd never think to check there. In a million years would he ever check there. And Obi-Wan's like, well, I'm not doing much.
Yeah.
So
I'll be like a uncle that shows up once in a while.
yeah, for Christmas.
For Christmas.
And Yoda's like, hey, by the way, I can teach you how to get in touch with Qui-Gon.
You waited till now to tell me this?
He's like, Qui-Gon figured out a way how to send you texts from heaven.
Yeah, Force Mobile.
And Obi-Wan's like, you gonna teach me how to do that? And Yoda's like, nah, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, you got it.
I'm going in exile. See you later.
Really? They're like, really?
And then you think that would be the end of the movie. Big hopeful note. But no, this is a real dark and dreary movie. So we cut to Anakin just... Ooh. He's in rough shape.
Yeah, he is. Burned up pretty good. But Palpatine's got a plan. He's just like... Hey, let's get you a mech suit. Let's get you nice and fixed up.
Look how sick this armor is.
Yeah, look at this, man. Been working with the development team all week on this. It's pretty cool.
Look how sick this is.
Yeah.
And you're going to sound like James Earl Jones.
I love James Earl. I just would love in this universe if James Earl Jones was just James Earl Jones, like the Star Wars actor in Star Wars. Like he was just an actor that everybody loved. Sick.
I'm going to sound like James Earl Jones.
That's nice. I thought I liked the dark side before, but this is sick.
Cue the Darth Vader helmet descending upon Anakin, and you see kind of like a legit kind of fear in his eyes. As like the helmet's like
he's no longer human at this point. He's beyond that at this point.
He's RoboCop.
Yeah, he is He's space RoboCop.
And then Palpatine's like, "All right, get up."
Yeah.
Yep, up. And Vader. Now he's Vader now, and he's like, "Where is Padme? Is she safe? Is she all right?" Which sounded like James Earl Jones was like questioning like what he was reading because like he has no association with any of the original like the prequel trilogy stuff. He's like, who is Padme? Like, just read the script, James.
God.
And Palpatine was like, I hate to tell you this, but you killed her.
And one of the greatest no's in cinematic history.
No. And, like, you see, like, the raw rage and power of Vader as he, like, crumples this whole room. And then him and Palpatine go for a walk. And they're looking at a ship. And then movie ends. That third act is great.
Yeah, it is.
It's like legitimately good.
Right. And this is the movie. The last frame of the movie is, Luke Skywalker, baby Luke Skywalker on Tatooine.
Being delivered.
Twin sons. That twin sons from A New Hope is one of my favorite frames in all of movie history. It's the epitome if the physical epitome of Star Wars is the third act between Anakin and Obi-Wan. That's the metaphorical epitome of what the universe can hold.
Yep.
So good stuff. Probably in the top 4 Star Wars movies, I think this movie lies.
I think it's 2 or 3 for me.
I think it's 3 because I'm on the notion that A New Hope is still my favorite Star Wars movie, and really I'm talking as close can be. It's Empire, and then I think it's this.
Yeah, I have the same 3 just in a different order. Empire is first for me, then Revenge of the Sith, then A New Hope.
Remember when Empire came on TV and you texted me, and then I put it on and I was like, oh, Empire is...
It still holds up.
It's good.
It's
so
up.
good. When you get that proclamation that it's not just Star Wars, one of the best movies that was made. Yeah. Yep. It's good stuff. What did I say? Once they get to Cloud City, that movie just takes absolute off. It's really good.
So then, this movie serves as the transition point from 3 to 4, and it's a good transition.
Yeah.
It leads into the story that basically.
And it's the perfect dichotomy between the two of them, because if this is the fall of Anakin Skywalker, who's going to have to pay for the sins but the son? So now the son needs to be the new chosen one, needs to understand what his father did, and more importantly, not become his father and become something better.
And now we are furthering that bridge with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks after it wraps. Episode 5 is this week.
Yeah. So by the time you guys are listening to this, episode 5 will be out. I'm expecting some fireworks from episode 5, the penultimate episode before whatever episode 6 looks like. Possibly a big reveal. Who knows what's going to happen?
Who's to say?
Yeah.
I'm anticipating at least one more confrontation between Kenobi and Vader.
Yeah, before whatever, because I do think there's going to be a massive episode 6 fight between the two of them. They're going to between Kenobi, they're going to mix it up real good.
Because Kenobi's got to get his groove back.
Yeah, he's got to, and I think he started to in episode 4. He started to, without spoilers, he started to kind of get back to, and it was the little things. It's not the massive, big moving crazy things with your hands. It's just the small things that he was trying to work on to, because he's been out of practice for 10 years and it's such a spiritual thing. It's not something you could just step into and be good at.
Meanwhile, Anakin's just been gaining power.
Mm-hmm. Not only just physical power, he's been gaining, political power as well, and militaristic power. Yeah.
And, he basically lets Obi-Wan go because he's like, you're not worth it.
Yeah.
This is, it feels good to get kind of revenge on you, but I want the Jedi Master. I want, the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't want whatever this is.
Yeah, I need to fight you as you fought me on Mustafar.
Basically, which I think we're not, obviously the fight between them is not going to be quite as crazy, but I think it's going to be something,
Agreed.
Which directly will lead into A New Hope. When I left you, I was but the learner, but now I am the master. And, there's been much made of it doesn't make sense and this, but it does. Not to segue into Kenobi talk, but I guess we can for a quick minute. But Ben, when he sees Vader in A New Hope, is not surprised.
No.
Contrast that with how he sees him the first time in Kenobi, when he's horrified. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like, oh my, this is what Anakin is now.
Yeah.
This is crazy. But in A New Hope, he's like, you again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Vader tries to make it this big moment, and Ben's just like, all right,
nope.
Whatever.
Yeah, let's get this over with.
Let's go.
Yeah.
It's still a guy who's just seen enough.
Yeah, I know you're gonna, you're way more powerful. I understand. I'm an old man now. You're in the prime of your older life. You're the best Sith there's ever been. You're gonna kill me, but let's make this a little interesting.
Yeah. Poof, I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm going to turn into a Force Ghost. And then my son's going to pull the same... And then my nephew's going to pull the same move in some years. On your grandson. Last Jedi, not as bad as everybody makes it out to seem.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, that's Revenge of the Sith. That was fun. That movie is so... It's something else. It's dumb, it's fun, it's everything that you would want.
Sad, it's tragic, but it needs to be. It needs to be all of those things, because that's what Star Wars is.
it's ultimately the epitome of a Star Wars movie, in my opinion. It's got its dumb moments, it's got its fun moments, it's got its tragic moments, it's got its cool lightsaber Jedi moments. It's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk. I just threw on the fight scene, the lightsaber battle between Luke and Darth and Empire, and I really like this movie. But more importantly, it's just I love Luke's hubris, and I love he's like the perfect comp he's everything that Anakin is not. Like, he was so willing to help his friends in that situation. And I mean, that could be another thing about just the Jedi in general. I mean, when we talk about Star Wars to a bigger capacity, because at some point we're going to talk about the original trilogy, one thing that I think about is, like, the Jedi themselves, like, cutting them off from all those attachments. Like, everybody thinks it's such a bad thing, but, like, the Jedi aren't these perfect, group of, space samurai, for a better term. Like, they are, like, they're not a cult, but it's like they're abducting these kids at such a, they're doing something pretty similar to what the Empire was doing.
And it's not dissimilar to, like, any type of religion, that doesn't evolve over time, takes the literal, scripture, quote unquote, in this case, and takes it too literally, and like, no, this is the way it has to be. Even Luke falls into that trap in The Last Jedi when he meets up with Yoda again, and Yoda's like, this stuff doesn't mean anything, and Luke's like, the sacred texts, and Yoda's like, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't matter.
Like, our whole thing got upended by, like, some stupid kid from Tatooine, like, upended the entire Jedi Order because of us.
Because we were so beholden to these things, these values that ultimately didn't mean anything. Like, Yoda basically tells Luke, like, trust your gut, like, trust your instincts, basically.
Right.
Like, don't worry about the Jedi Order or rebuilding the Jedi Order.
Right.
Like, what we need is beyond the Jedi Order.
Right.
Last Jedi's not bad.
Yeah, but the Star Wars as a whole, I love Star Wars. We need more people to like the thing that you constantly talk about, if that's okay. That's too much to ask for. If you don't like it, then why are you a fan? There's no point to me.
Yeah, just enjoy what you get. Like, you can criticize and you can critique, what you may perceive as, poor writing, but you don't have to get so
mad that you threaten people,
real up in arms about it, or demoralize other people on the internet who express maybe different opinions than you. It's you're not the just like we are not the primary voices of Star Wars, neither is anybody else. It's a media, it's an art form that's meant to be enjoyed and interpreted in a variety
by all
of ways.
Peoples of all ages as well.
Ages, gender identity, race, whatever you want, whatever line you want to draw, people can interpret Star Wars the way that they want to, and that's ultimately what the point of it all is.
Be more like Luke Skywalker. Don't be more like Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah.
See the light in things. Don't see the darkness.
Which is what we try to do here every single week through the Dunes to the Morbius,
to the Venoms,
to
the Eternals, to the
Top Gun,
to the Top Guns, to the Suicide Squads, to the No Time to Dies. We have our criticisms, so at the end of the day, we just try to have some fun and just love movies and TV, because we wouldn't be here, and we would be so much different people as a whole if we didn't have all these things. Right.
Agreed. On that note, what have you been doing? Watching? Anything?
Yeah, I got a movie review. Primed and ready to go. And that movie review is for Netflix's latest original movie, Hustle. Adam Sandler's new movie, basically chronicling the life of an NBA scout/coach that is kind of on his last limbs. It is Adam Sandler as, I forget what his name is in the movie, but basically how it goes is he's a scout/coach for the 76ers. Robert Duvall's in this movie for a brief amount of time. He is the owner of the Sixers, and we find out later that he passes away in the movie and that his son gains control. And in this movie, Robert Duvall was Adam Sandler's coach earlier in life, and that's why he kind of keeps him around. But now it's kind of like Top Gun and Iceman and Maverick. Like, he doesn't have him around to keep him kind of safe. So his son kind of ousts him, says, I don't want you to be a coach anymore. I just need you to kind of be a scout, go overseas. And Adam Sandler has I don't know why I was getting ready to say Ice Cube, but Adam Sandler has a family in this movie. His wife is Queen Latifah, and he's scouting. He's in Spain, and he finds this guy wearing work boots in Spain, just hustling people, playing the absolute heck out of some basketball. He goes up to him and he's just like, hey man, I want you to come play for the 76ers. And he's just like, cool, but I might have a past. And we find out about that past. It's not a big deal. Really good. It's a fun, heart-wrenching sports movie. And listen, here's the deal. It's tough for sports movies to beat tropes. It's one of the toughest genre of movies to beat the tropes in.
Yeah.
Because sports are, at the end of the day, you need to there's goals in sports that you need to achieve. So that's where the cliche comes in. Where you kind of sublet that and kind of exceed that is through your performances and through your characters. And Adam Sandler, it's one of his better performances. And I said, the first 20 to 30 minutes it's really by the books. It's like, they kind of shoot it the way they shoot Succession. There's like a lot of like camera like zooms and like zoom outs and zoom ins. Like that, I think that was the whole point of it. Mm-hmm. And then once it like settles into the second act, and for all my basketball fans out there, Juan Hernangomez is the main character. He plays Bo Cruz, who plays, I think where is he playing right now? I think he's on the Jazz right now. Famously for like, my deep cut basketball fans, he was on that Spain team that gave the U.S. a run for their money, with, who was on that team? Rudy Fernandez was on that team. Jose Calderon, Serge Ibaka, the Gasol brothers, and then they were younger when this was happening, but they were on that team. But beside the point, he's a basketball player that's an actor. So obviously I'm not looking for, I'm not looking for De Niro or Denzel or something like that. But I think he does really good in the role too. And I think it helps that you had Adam Sandler there. And I think it's the fact that you have a little bit of fun in the roles. One thing you can take advantage, it's another trope of of sports movies, is the montage. But I think the montage that leads into the third act, it's a good one.
Montage.
Yeah, it's a real good one. You kind of understand all like the shortcomings of like what he's like, his own worst enemy. A big theme of the movie is like, you are your own worst enemy. Like, you're the only person that's holding you back. And then there's so many great cameos. I get Anthony Edwards, Rookie of the Year last year, is the
love Anthony Edwards.
It's perfect. I think I forget who I was telling, but I'm like, get Anthony Edwards, because I feel like this movie, and I'm going to talk about this at the end, might spark like a new wave of sports movies that are about to come in. Because of, say what you will, the social media age is probably going to help this whole fact, but Anthony Edwards, he's just so outspoken and so like, just like the life of the party type of guy. He's perfect. He's like the Ty Crane to like Junior Battle for like Coach Carter. Like, it's the same thing. But no, this movie, it's got a lot of emotion in it. He's got, you find out Bo Cruz has a daughter, and a lot of emotion comes through there. And then on Adam Sandler's side as well, he's just trying to like tell himself like he's not just some piece of crap scout. He's got a family and he's trying to affect some change in this kid. I think it's a good narrative to have, like, against like the whole like, agents are like evil people that just want to use him. It's just like he genuinely wants to help this kid. He genuinely, like, because the whole another mantra in the movie is like, you just find like, even Queen Latifah tells him like, oh, you just find the next kid and move on. He's like, I can't do that. I can't do that this time. Like, I gotta make sure this kid makes it. Like, it's not just he's got like legitimate reason to make it. Lots of great homages to Kobe, obviously, R.I.P. Especially in just the whole ideal of hard work, and just he gets him a pair of Kobe's and he wakes him up at like 3:30 in the morning. He's like, Kobe was up to practice before practice. That's how we're gonna do it. And yeah, I think this movie's gonna spark a new wave of like newer sports movies. Yeah. There were cameos left and right. Geez, Mark Cuban's in this movie. Julius Erving's in this movie. Kenny Smith is like, he has a pretty decent sized role in this movie. Luca makes an appearance. Boban makes an appearance. Aaron Gordon. Like, for all my basketball fans, you know who all these people are. Like, this movie's star-studded with like big Trae Young's in this movie. Like, there's top tier NBA talent, past and present, in this movie, which is really cool. So, cool. Had a lot of fun with it. I think it's a good like, it's a good watch to have if you're into basketball, or if you just want a pretty solid movie to watch. It's nothing absolutely Oscar worthy insane, but I do think it's actually a pretty solid entry, and I really enjoyed it. Cool. That's Hustle.
Very cool. And you have that review written, or?
I do not. I can get that written though. Written, recorded, whatever the people want, I will do for them. Cool. And yeah, more movie reviews hopefully coming your way. Awesome. To a box office near you. We're gonna do we gotta start doing the I'm telling you, we gotta start doing the thing where we stand outside the theater and interview people after movies. Really blow up after that.
Really needs to do it after Doctor Strange.
Ooh, that was a we've had some interesting experiences leaving theaters. That was probably one of the more polarizing ones, because it was like that was the one, like, I think I even said it during the review, because I think we came right here after we watched the movie. Like,
yeah,
I think we even twice. I think we even said, like, that movie felt like the experience type of movie that we haven't had since No Way Home / Endgame. Like, that was like a full out, like, people were like going out of their way to see this movie, and the reception was not as perfect as I thought it was going to be walking out. And, you know, I think the horror elements definitely did have to do a little bit of that. You didn't get that warm, cozy feeling that you usually do, but I think Thor: Love and Thunder is going to remedy that quite nicely.
I agree.
What the heck you been up to, man?
Not a lot.
Been watching Arrow again?
Not this time.
It's just one continuous loop of Arrow for you. That's how it works.
No, I finished Under the Banner of Heaven, the Andrew Garfield led Hulu series,
Nice.
Based on the novel of the same name. Really good, really intense, kind of thrilling murder mystery story obviously grounded in 1980s Utah, around the Latter-day Saints Mormon community, and it's really, really, really good. He's great in it. Wyatt Russell, also
nice.
of Marvel fame, is in this movie alongside Sam Worthington. Daisy Edgar Jones is in this.
Oh, that's a star-studded cast.
Yeah, it's a really great cast. Our guy from Peacemaker, the old man, special agent guy.
Oh, nice.
He's in it.
Mern's friend.
Yes.
It's not Mern's friend, because it's not really Mern.
Yeah. So I finished that. Obviously finished Stranger Things, watching Ms. Marvel, watching Obi-Wan, so watching The Boys.
Yeah,
so,
and we talked about it before. Like, I think we said it like way back when, that like May to June to July is going to be just absolutely packed for us, which is great, and packed for fans of all this stuff.
Aside from that, I talked a little bit last week about PlayStation State of Play. I mentioned about up top when we were talking Last of Us Summer Games Fest happened. A lot of neat announcements all across gaming. From Xbox had their kind of showcase over the weekend. Capcom did their own showcase, showcasing Street Fighter, showcasing more Resident Evil 4, showcasing stuff that they've been working on. And then this week, actually on Thursday, so Square Enix is celebrating the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. They've gone into overdrive of promoting this event, which is not something they typically do. Leaves a lot of rumors and speculation that they're going to be unveiling Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, which is very exciting on top of everything else that they have planned. Obviously 25 years is an insane kind of anniversary to celebrate for a video game. But it is one of the most revered games of all time. So just celebrating that, it's going to be very interesting to see what Thursday brings in that regard. I'm sure you will hear me talk about it next week if it's anything substantial. But that's going to do it for us this week. You can follow us on Twitter at ProjectINF_pod. You can follow us on Facebook. You can listen to the podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you listen to your podcast.
Radio Shack. Is Radio Shack still a thing?
No, I don't believe it is.
Ah, crap.
Yep. So you can find us on there, download new episodes every week, sometimes twice a week when we do special reviews, like we probably will do for Thor when it comes out. Time permitting, of course, and schedules permitting.
Right.
But look forward to that. You can follow us on Instagram
at the Project Infinite Pod.
Thank you.
I don't miss.
He never misses. He's always on point. Next week, I guess we're gonna try and shoot to do Jurassic Park.
No. It will give me an excuse to watch some Steven Spielberg. So
there you go. And like I said, we owe it to Jurassic World to see this.
Oh, of course.
Because we watched Morbius and we did a whole episode on Morbius.
Yeah, and we lied for like an hour and a half and said that movie was... The movie's a hilarious... That's a funny... It's a comedy. If you look at that movie as a comedy, as a soap opera comedy, it's one of the best movies of the year.
It's Morbid time.
It's Morbid time.
So we'll...
To Morb, to Eos.
Look forward to that next week, and then the week following will be our full review of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which will be fun, because I'm expecting big things from these last two episodes.
Me too. I think it's going to deliver on the fact that this is the middle piece of their arc.
And then transition to a preview for Thor, and then Thor: Love and Thunder will be out.
Yes.
We talk about this all the time when these big movies come out. Like it's shocking how fast they creep up on you. So
we're really in an 80s-esque summer.
Yeah.
Because what do we got? Stranger Things. Soldier Boy from The Boys was prominent in the 80s. Talking Star Wars, which took its real leap in the 80s.
Top
Gun. Cobra Kai. Like, this is an 80s summer. We talked about, what did I say? Because you just had to take what song would save me from Vecna last week. I said Everybody Wants to Rule the World is the song that would save me. We're in the 80s summer.
Yeah.
Go watch, like, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Or The Breakfast Club. All good stuff.
The Anakin Skywalker of the podcast.
No, I knew it was coming. I thought you were gonna just sneak one by me and try to make me like Bail Organa. That would have been funny. I would have taken that.
The Plo Koon of the podcast.
Nope. Still not feeling it. Not feeling it. Why can't you make me like Obi-Wan or something?
But you said explicitly earlier that you weren't the Obi-Wan. So
true. Could have made me anybody. You could have made me like, I don't know, anybody else.
Only a master of podcasts, Darth.
Only a podcast host would deal in absolutes.
I will do what I must.
You will try.
And what I must do is sign off this episode. So for me, from Court, thank you as always for listening, and we will see you next week.
You usually say goodbye. You didn't say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Peace.
Hello there.
We did it. This is where the fun begins.
All right, for real. We're leaving.
Yeah.